This is Sports Sound Rugby.
Listen live, on digital, online or on BBC Sounds.
Nine years after Ireland's epic first ever victory over New Zealand at the 29th attempt, we are going back to the scene of that memorable game, to Soldier Field in Chicago, to see if history can repeat itself. Can a rivalry that has produced so much drama in the last decade deliver again tonight? Good evening, I'm Orla Bannon. Welcome to our coverage of Ireland's Autumn International Series fixtures. All the games will be live right here on Radio Ulster, Radio Foyle and BBC Sounds. And tonight, welcome also to our listeners on Radio 5 Sports Extra. Well, Ireland certainly have a challenging month coming up with games against all three Southern Hemisphere teams. Australia and South Africa are the visitors to Dublin, along with Japan. But first up is this mouth-watering showdown against the All Blacks. Joining me for this one are a pair of Ulster legends who both represented the province over 200 times and played for Ireland as well. Robbie Diak and Paul Marshall. Huge occasion this, boys. It's been a proper rivalry, 5 wins each in the last decade. How do you see this one going, Paul?
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it, Orla? It took so long for Ireland to get their first victory over the All Blacks, obviously in Chicago in 2016. And as you say, there's been 5 wins apiece since that game, so including that game. So it's exciting. I look at the two team sheets. Ireland are probably slightly older in terms of an experience maybe than New Zealand on paper, but it's just whether Ireland are going to be match fit or not. That's been the big challenge all week, hasn't it? That's been put to Andy Farrell. Are Ireland ready?
Yeah, kick-off just 5 minutes away. Robbie Diak, I mean, Ireland not really fancied to pull this one off. People saying they're underdone. 6 players have only played once this season. Are they underdone?
That's a tough question, but you look at... We spoke a little bit about it earlier. We look at Leinster's recent form, and I think over the past couple of years, we look at how Leinster have performed leading into these international games, and with them only winning 2 out of the last 5, and you've got 12 Leinster players in the starting team against the All Blacks today who have had a run of games with the Rugby Championship and performing well there. It really is. It's going to be tough for them. You know, guys like Caelan Doris coming back off the bench for his first game in a couple of months. A lot of the players have had extensive breaks because of being on the Lions tour. And I think coming into a game of this magnitude in Chicago in Soldier Field with so much history about it, with Ireland winning their first ever game against the All Blacks there 9 years ago, as we all know. But the big point is that it's become such an even playing field at the moment, where the All Blacks back in the day used to dominate most island games, and if everyone. But now the level is really it's become so even and so tight. So what a game we're in for.
Yeah, New Zealand will want to right that wrong from 2016, Paul, but also Ireland will probably feel they have a little bit of a point to prove. They're still ranked 3rd in the world, but people are writing them off.
Yeah, of course.
Saying they're a fading force.
I know, and that's the big thing. I suppose New Zealand got the quarter-final victory over them in the World Cup a couple of years ago, so Ireland will probably still deep down be hurting from that as well. So it's exciting, and I think just from an Ulster point of view, it's exciting to see Stuart McCluskey getting a start at 12. I think he's been in phenomenal form. I would love to have seen Jacob Stockdale somewhere in the 23. Unfortunately, he misses out, and Ian Henderson as well has been scintillating form. So it's great for us to see a couple of those guys we're talking about aging guys that are still in their 30s now, but we got to play with, and it's great to see them out there.
Well, that's it, Robbie. I mean, your old teammate, Stu McCluskey, he's had to be patient. Andy Farrell says he deserves this chance.
It's amazing to see him there. I see him most Saturday mornings at our junior rugby with the little boys playing together there, and to see him in Chicago lining up against the All Blacks, and you know what, he fully deserves it. He's had an amazing couple of games for Ulster. You know, he's been dominant in carry. He's been super in defence as well, and you know, he's one of those players where when they do well, they win.
Okay, well, the atmosphere looks absolutely fantastic over there. Time to join our commentary team now, though. Let's go to our former Ireland international, Chris Henry, who's alongside Jim Neely.
Thank you very much, Orla. Lovely to hear from Paul Marshall and Robbie Diak once again. 2 great men of Ulster, and a great man of Ulster playing in the middle of the park for Ireland. A rare start for a big Stuart McCluskey. He's been around for quite some time, and the head-to-head with Geordie Barrett, who knows him quite well because they played against each other last year when Barrett was with Leinster. That promises to be one, Chris, of a number of wonderful one-on-ones.
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. It's going to be awesome. Two huge men, 2 really physical men, and whoever
wins that dominance in the breakdown of who goes forward, who defends, who has the biggest brick wall and stops the momentum. Both teams have talked about it all week. Whichever team dominates that, is going to go a long way to winning the game.
You've got the haka going on in the background. Some people say it gives them an unfair advantage, but certainly in recent years it's been done so well that people actually appreciate it.
Yeah, Jim, I think anyone who really loves the rugby and the history of rugby, it's an amazing spectacle. I only ever got to face it once, and certainly it's a memory I will always cherish. And I think that's what players do. You take it as that challenge, you respect it, and it's an amazing spectacle, especially in Chicago, in the States, where a lot of people in obviously today's game might not have seen exposed to rugby that much. This is awesome for the game.
The Blacks have had a busy old summer, a series win against the French, 8 games in the Rugby Championship. They're just probably simmering along nicely, whereas Ireland have really got to come to the boil as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's the worry, isn't it? And Andy Farrell's obviously trying to spin it that our team will be, the Irish team will be very, very fresh compared to that. But I think the Irish key team have been in Chicago on the ground for 2 weeks. There's been plenty of team training and out in the practice pitch, but there's no replicating test match rugby, and that's why probably the first 10 minutes of this game especially, it's going to be really interesting to see the coaching staff and the team of this Irish team are so obviously so well organised that they'll try replicate that, but you can't. It's until you're in the match environment, you can't do that. So that's what it's going to be really interesting for folks to watch tonight. Will this New Zealand just be too battle hardened, too game ready, and those wee half-second moments all add up?
We're midway between the 4-year World Cup cycle. You could probably say that starting in this particular game, the build-up for the World Cup in just under 2 years' time really starts here.
Yeah, I mean, like always, especially the World Cup with Ireland, there's no doubt that the last World Cup was just heartbreaking for all Irish fans, how close, the smallest margins, and New Zealand at that big moment in Paris. We were there, Jim. It was the one that really counted, and it went right down the wire, and it came down to the tiniest of decisions. Slight errors. If you remember, Ireland so close to getting over the line near the ends of them all, and they could get held up. So this rivalry is awesome. Like, since 2016, it has been an absolute, every fixture is so important, so amazing. And the next World Cup is still a while away, but there's no doubt that the coaching staff from Ireland will be thinking about along those lines of how do we give our best players the chance. And a big talking point is Jack Crowley. How well he goes today, because he looks like he's great that he's getting his chance.
Well, the man in the middle is from France. He's Pierre Brousset. His assistants running the line. Touch judges, in my old-fashioned way of speaking, are Carl Dixon from England, another Frenchman, Luc Ramos, and the TMO is Ian Tempest from the Rugby Football Union. And away we go. And Ireland are playing from left to right, and the All Blacks are taking the ball just outside the 22. Will Jordan, who scored no fewer than 43 tries in his 50 test appearance, sets it up for the New Zealand All Blacks, who drive forward as the skipper Scott Barrett, the 31-year-old, sets it up just inside the 22, and they wait and just take their time for a new scrum half who's come through this year, Cameron Roygard, and he kicks left-footed down to the near touchline, where it's gathered in safely by Ireland's new fullback Jamie Osborne. But that's a good clearance kick by Cameron Roygard. Plays his club rugby for Manukau Counties. Big game for this Irish pack. So many of them familiar faces from the Summer Lions tour. So many back in action now for Leinster. 12 in the starting lineup for Leinster. Slip at the back of the line out by Ireland. They've given the ball to the New Zealanders very cheaply. There's a hint of an overlap here, and away from the first tackle goes Quinn Tuapia, the 26-year-old centre, up to the 10-metre line of Ireland. They bring it to the open side of the field, the All Black left, and here they come again. Here comes Jordan, the man who scored the try that finished Ireland off in Dublin a year or so ago, up to the 10-metre line, and the first penalty goes against Ireland for not releasing in the tackle, and I think it's gone against the skipper for this evening, doing it for the second time in his international career, Dan Sheehan. And the Blacks looking at the post, but not seriously, I don't think, Chris.
No, Jim, I think the first momentum shift here, and absolute cracking kick here, obviously from Barrett, finding some good space. So look, New Zealand really slick start, cleared their exits from the kick-off really well, the unfortunate line out for Ireland, obviously miscommunication, and again it's high pressure moment, it's test match rugby, that's not what we used to see. So Ireland really disappointed that start.
All Blacks take it at the back of the line out. Roygard brings it back in field. It's gone down upon by second row forward Holland, As Fabian Holland set up outside Ireland's 22. Now they drive forward. The new star of the back row forward plays Simon Parker. Leaves it behind him. Roygaard comes to the near side. Scott Barrett, the captain. Roygaard once again. Here's the danger man, Peter Lakai. Not too far from him is Artie Sevilla. The All Blacks moving forward ominously. That black cloud just drifting up to Ireland's 22. Good tackle by Josh van der Fleer on the New Zealand skipper Scott Barrett. And again they bring it forward. This time they come round the near side, the left. They're getting ever close to that 22. Well, Artie Sevilla is knocked to ground, and Ireland's defence is very good, and they'll be pretty happy with that at the moment. No sign of the New Zealanders breaking through, and it looks like the outside half, Bowden Barrett, the oldest of the boys, is taking a bit of a bump.
Yeah, I think it could be two Barrett brothers actually, Scott and Bowden here, both making a lot of carries one after each other, and it looks like a nasty head here, collision with Tadhg Beirne.
Well, there was a right shoulder went in, and I think Tadhg Beirne's going to be in a bit of trouble here. This could be a bit of bother, and Ireland could find themselves down to 14 men at the start of this game. We've only played 2.5 minutes.
We need to check foul play.
That doesn't look very good. It's obviously happening at such a fast pace. Tadhg Beirne's trying to get back, but big tall man doesn't make any attempt to wrap an arm, dip his body. So the referee's now calling for some support here to have a deeper look at it.
10, yes.
Well, the TMO is Ian Tempest, and there's another new man, a gentleman called an FPRO, who's the foul play review officer, and he decides whether or not if somebody gets a yellow card and they deem it might be worthy of a red, he's the one who makes that decision. But there was definitely a shot on the shoulder by Tadhg Beirne. Now, he didn't actually dip the shoulder, he stood his ground, and I've got to say in mitigation the player as much ran into him as anything. Well, I'm looking at it from a different angle. What I said is complete nonsense, because I think Tadhg Beirne has led with the shoulder.
He tucks the arm there, Jim. You know, he's obviously, it's such high tempo, high pace, but he's looking like a slightly to protect himself as well. But yes, to me that's reckless, and I would be surprised if this doesn't come with some colour of card.
Let's see if we can hear what Pierre Brousset is going to be saying. We'll ask some technical whiz to turn the sound up a wee bit so we can actually hear. We probably won't hear anything on the PA system until the decision has been made. We're looking from all sorts of different angles, because there are so many different angles now, and they're very important to the game of rugby.
Yeah, we're working to get the angles on the screen. If not, there will be a sideline monitor on the halfway line, I believe.
They're struggling to find a screen over there, Jim.
Yes,
but you know, leading into this incident, you know, the speed of New Zealand carries, like the line out was slick, it was near the back, you know, off the top ball, round the corner. I think it was Sevilla carry, you know, Bowden Barrett, it was Scott Barrett, time and time again put their hands up already at the start of this game with real intent.
So Pierre, we are trying to work with the stadium to get the angles on the screen. Broadcast do not control that at the moment, so we're just working to get you the angles.
Well, there's a wee problem occurring in Tempest, because they can't not get the replays, because the screen, the stadium I'm hearing is not geared. Can you imagine that? All the big games they play here, and they can't get an action replay machine. And dear.
Yeah, it's a surprise, Jim. I think obviously the rugby games have put a bit of a spanner in the works for them. Maybe they just don't have the screens up. But look, it's a shame in seeing this. Hopefully, you know, you hate to have a card like this this early in the game, but as I said, it's Tadhg knows there himself he needs to do better. So
the options are, I can explain to you what we are seeing, or you can come to there's a monitor on the halfway line that you'll be able to see.
Pierre Brousset is being told by Ian Tempest, I think it is, that there's a monitor on the halfway line, so he can go to the halfway line.
For me, there's no attempt to grasp with the right arm. The right
Scott Barrett there as well.
Yeah.
And
he's off. It's a big loss. I think he got something on his knee there, Jim. He looked really uncomfortable.
That's very bad. Scott Barrett, the New Zealand skipper, is off. So Cody Taylor will probably take over the captaincy. So the three officials, there's Pierre Buret from France, his fellow Frenchman Luc Ramos, and Carl Dixon from the Rugby Football Union at Twickenham England headquarters at Twickenham, are going over to a little tooty monitor on the halfway line. It looks like somebody just brought it out of a wee metal suitcase, and they're going to have a look at this again. It was Roygaard came to the narrow side, popped it up to Bowden Barrett, and Bowden Barrett ran into the formidable right shoulder of Ireland's second row, back row forward Tadhg Beirne, another man who has such a good Lions series, but he's walloped the All Blacks number 10, and with the All Blacks number 4, his big brother, going up, it's not a great afternoon for the Barrett boys, is it?
No, it's Scott Barrett's a big loss. 80 caps plus for New Zealand brings an unbelievable amount of experience, leadership. He's a guy that lasts 80 minutes for them, so that is a big blow. So yeah, big loss.
Captain. Right, the referee is calling the two captains over. This is going to be interesting. And Dan Sheehan has taken over.
For the delay, we've got a technology problem. So we've got a price tackle with a touchdown by 5 rain, who is also absorbing, so that's which a yellow card threshold.
It's a forward pass, so we have to pull out.
5 yellow card threshold, all field review.
So he's gone off.
With the review, Jim, yeah.
And with the possible review of making the yellow card into a red one. So he looks a wee bit disconsolate, Tadhg Byrne. He's gone off. We've had not even 3 minutes gone. It's been all black at the moment in terms of territory and possession. And we have to wait and see. I'm trying to work out who exactly has come on in place of the injured New Zealand skipper.
Josh Lord there is on.
Josh Lord, another youngster, the 24-year-old on wearing number 19. So into touch the near side of the field. The All Blacks left. They're about 10 metres from the Ireland line, near side of the field. Long goes to the back, well taken into the back by New Zealand. And it wasn't straight, according to the referee. There was a challenge, and that means it's going to be put into the scrum for Ireland. So the first scrum without the regular second row forward. So what are they going to do about that? They have to put somebody into the second row.
I'd say Ryan Baird.
Ryan Baird will go in, who's used to playing there. It was a good take at the back of the lineup, but alas, the initial throw wasn't straight. And if it's not straight, then you're in trouble. So it is Baird going in with the even bigger James Ryan. James Ryan's about 6'8", and Baird's big. He's 6'6".
Yeah, he's a big lad. Now hopefully they bring in someone like McCluskey as well. One of the bigger backs to add a bit of weight. And there you go. He's Stuart McCluskey lying out open side flanker, Jim, to add a bit more of his weight. So yeah, big scrum's going to be huge. The set piece huge. That's a mistake by All Blacks. A real let off for Ireland now to get a good exit.
Big scrum, this one, the first scrum of the game. In it goes. Good solid scrum by Ireland. Wee bit of a squeeze by the All Blacks, and Jamison Gibson Park wallops it. What a very good kick. Kept it low and kept it just about 10 feet off the ground. And the All Blacks, I think, have taken that quickly, but the referee's not happy with it. He's going to bring them back, is he? Yes, he has. He's tootled his whistle, not very loudly. Come on, Pierre, you can do a bit better than that with the old P. And he's going to bring them back. Because it wasn't taken from the right place.
Yeah, I think the Irish players were there just in time to set the line out, but it showed a bit of intent there by New Zealand. They want to keep the ball in play, go quickly. That's an unbelievable clearance kick from James Gibson Park from that scrum. Inches perfect to get that ball exactly placed perfectly. So unreal kick from him for a clearance.
All Blacks line out on their 10-metre line, the near side of the field, the Irish right. Ireland playing from right to left. Sheehan at the front, keeping an eye on things, and it goes. Well taken by the enormous Fabian Holland, winning just as his 10th captain today, one of the new breed of New Zealand second rows. A lot of youngsters in this New Zealand side with a view to having them mature for the World Cup in a couple of years' time. Away they go. Beauden Barrett seems to have recovered. Nicely done. Oh, wonderful serve right through by Caleb Clark up over the 10-metre line. It's gone loose, picked up by Ireland, picked up by Ryan Baird. Wonderful little break that might have come to something, but the referee says no.
That's crossing, Jim, I think, from that line break, from the initial line break there, I believe.
A little bit of blockage in the middle of the park. Yeah, I'd like to have another little look at that, but what a bit of pace Caleb Clark showed.
Yeah, once he puts on the burners, it looked like there was options over the place for New Zealand. Obviously Ireland down a man at the moment, so there's space going to obviously happen somewhere. You can't defend everywhere with a man down, but again another break for Ireland, that there was obstruction there, and Ireland now have opted to go for a chance of getting a sort of cheap 3 points from really not having too much going their way at the very start of this game.
Well, there's a couple of men came in from the near side, but there was definitely a little bit of obstruction there in the middle of the park by New Zealand. And then the final pass, which might have been a try-scoring pass to scrum half Cameron Roigard, was put to ground. And now Dan Sheehan, Ireland's skipper, has asked his outside half back on the starting lineup. One of only two players who began the game, the 106 something points scored against Portugal in the summer. The other was Stuart McCluskey. So Jack Crowley, who got 24 points in that last test against Portugal, 12 conversions. My goodness me. Such an important kick, this one. It's just to the left of the post, right side of the field for him. Crowley makes a good contact. And the flags go up, and Ireland, despite the travails, have got themselves into the lead. It's Ireland, the home side, on this occasion 3, and New Zealand 0.
Yeah, they'll be absolutely delighted with that, considering the momentum hasn't really been with them. Jack Crowley, great confidence booster. He's the man at the moment, Jimmy. He really has a spring in his step. Great battle, obviously, between himself and Prendergast, and Jack Crowley, was really sort of kept his head down and worked hard, and he certainly adds a lot. Two different types of players, but so far so good for Jack Crowley today.
Bowen Barrett restarts, kicked it to the far side of the field, the old New Zealand left, taken inside Ireland's 22 by Stuart McCluskey, who goes to the ground, pops it up to Jemison Gibson Park, and he sets it for his forwards, who try to reset it for him to give him a chance to get a decent pass away, or maybe a decent kick away. He's going to kick this one himself, and he kicks it right footed. He's hoiked it a wee bit, but it's gone into touch, so it wasn't a bad kick at all. Just looking in the far side, the flag of the touch judges seems to be blowing into the Irish faces. Not very much, mind you, but then this is the windy city. You're about to have a wind or two in Chicago. Well disrupted by Ireland at the front. Peter Lackey brings it in for New Zealand. Roy Gard hopes to set it up. Artie Surveyor standing out. Here comes Artie Surveyor. Hard to recognise with the hair all cropped short. Normally he's got lots of it. New Zealand move up almost to the halfway line. Rogard digs it out, looking for a man outside, and finds it. Here they come again. Good tackling by McCluskey. What a good bit of work he's done. Put his foot in there rather illegally. Ball goes out wide to Kenneth Clark once again across the Ireland 10-metre line. New Zealand on the front foot. Ball is coming back on the Irish side. That's a good turnover by the men in green. Well away from the scrum half position by Tommy O'Brien. Ireland make 5 or 6 or 7 metres. Gibson Park on the near side. Baird wearing number 6, playing in the second row in the absence of Tadhg Byrne, who's in the bin.
Use it.
A little bit slow and untidy, but it's coming back on the Irish side as James Ryan helps to set it up. Crawley kicks far side of the field. That's not a bad kick, and just eluded the grasp of Stuart McCluskey, who was legging it down the far touchline. So fairly decent bit of play from Ireland, Chris.
Oh, it's a brave tactic, Jim. So close. Just Jack Crowley unfortunately overcooked it a bit to big McCluskey, but Gibson Park set up to look like he was going to do a simple box kick, safe call, but they decided to switch it last minute, and lovely sort of tactic. But high risk, high reward. And unfortunately now All Blacks have a set piece now, Captain, just in the 22 Captain. For Ireland.
The referee's asking for the 2 captains, and let's see if we can hear what he's saying. I wonder, has this been upgraded to a red? If so, it could be catastrophic.
Yellow card have been upgraded to red card because high level of danger and always illegal action.
The 4 pass. There has to be mitigation of the 4 pass.
Oh dear, that's a red card. High degree of danger, so Ireland will finish off this game with 14 men, Chris, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, gentlemen, I think to me, Dan Sheehan's there trying to fight the case that it's a forward pass, and for me, I think there's a duty of care no matter what. Tadhg Byrne doesn't need to tuck his arm like that. He can keep himself slightly more open, more frontal, and sort of soak that a bit more if he is actually in front of the ball. So it is, I believe it is the right decision. A harsh call. I hope it does not. Obviously it's a huge moment in the match, but
especially this early on, it's bad enough at any time, and it means then if he gets a red card, he's going to get some kind of a sanction and could miss the rest of the autumn international.
Absolutely,
depending on his previous record. So Ireland leading by 3 points to 0 thanks to a Jack Crowley penalty, have got themselves down to 14 men. A yellow card initially and then a red for Tadhg Byrne. New Zealand managed to keep that ball in, and little chip and chase by Bowen Barrett, well taken in by Ireland. They move it to the far side. Gibson Park is in there. Ireland bring it back in field. Sheehan, the captain, sets it up. Gibson Park. James Ryan makes a bit of ground, sets it up nicely. Gibson Park again. Crowley kicks right-footed for the near side into the 22. Well gathered into the 22 by the excellent Will Jordan, the Crusaders full back. Played all 6 games for New Zealand in the most recent World Cup. played 24 games in the Rugby Championship, but his try scoring is phenomenal. As we mentioned, 43 tries in 50 tests. That's coming up to 1 a test. Some people never got one in their entire careers.
It's a ridiculous statistic, the guys. And then look, this New Zealand team in general, they can score from anywhere. They pounce on mistakes. They make an offload, and that's it. They just, the amount of people that flood through. So again, now that Ireland a man down, it's going to hurt the legs, it's going to fatigue them. Everyone has to work that wee bit harder. All of a sudden that space just becomes that bit easier for the All Blacks, so it's going to be really interesting how well that Ireland can contain this and control the tempo now, because that's going to be really important to give themselves a chance.
Irish line out just inside the All Blacks half, ball taken in by Ireland. Ryan, good driving forward by Ireland, nicely set up by Stuart McCluskey. What a bruising game he's having to date. Gibson Park has a little glance, kicks right-footed. Nice little stabbing kick, and Ireland jump, and the ball goes loose, and Jordy Barrett will be playing against no fewer than 12 of his former Leinster teammates, and the ball's been knocked forward by Ireland, and Jordy Barrett has got himself down, and he looks in a lot of pain. He's holding his right leg, and that doesn't look too good at all for Jordy Barrett. His older brother went off.
Yeah, Jim, Barrett boys are tough boys, and he's obviously in a lot of pain here, so it's obviously something serious, which no one wants to see. He's a quality player, and it's going to take something to keep him down, so hopefully.
What a bruising run by Stuart McCluskey. We're just seeing it on the replay. He dismissed the New Zealand hooker Cody Taylor as if he was an under-14 player.
Yeah, it's a simple game, Jim, when you do it like that. Big McCluskey, that's what he does time and time again for in a white shirt and a green shirt. But we just see the replay here with it's Ryan Baird twists his ankle on the twist once he's pulled him to ground. So yeah, on the replay that looks very, very nasty.
I'm wondering, are they trying to intimate that Ryan did a croc roll? I don't think he did roll him over. He just pulled him to ground. And I think, to be fair, Jordy Barrett's legs got tangled up with each other.
Yeah, it's a rugby instinct there, Jim. I don't think there's any malice in it. It's momentum. It's spinning the player around. But yeah, it looks like a nasty one. It seems a lot of pain, which hard to watch.
We've seen Ireland come through games without a player and win games. I remember CJ Stander getting sent off. Was that against South Africa? And Ireland won that game. That was in South Africa, and Ireland won that game. So it's very, very doable. It's not going to be easy, needless to say, but it's very doable, Chris.
At times something like that, especially happening earlier in the match, it can galvanise the team. It can, all of a sudden the opposition go, well, we're a man up. Do we go off the cooler jets a bit? We know it's going to happen for us because we keep grinding, it'll happen. And the counter side of that, Irish, the doggedness, the grit doesn't get the best out of some players too. They have to make up for your teammate who has made that error. So it also comes then at the bench. The impact of both benches all of a sudden become, not that they weren't important before the match, but it becomes even more important. It's when you make those really smart decisions on bringing the reinforcements on for both sides. So really interesting now. And Tadhg, you had to pick him, Dan Sheehan. Not many other players. If you had to pick one person who would keep on the pitch, it would be Tadhg Byrne. Calls the lineouts, guarantees you 2 or 3 or 4 turnovers a game. Unbelievable carrier, obviously what he did with the Lions. So it is a huge loss, and as you said, for the rest of the campaign, you'd be very surprised if he's talking out over the next couple of weeks.
Well, the electronic clock tells us we played 12 minutes and 7 seconds. In actuality, since the referee blew us for ourselves, we've been on the pitch for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, now look, I think they're trying to strap, unbelievably, they're trying to strap Jordy Barrett up. So yeah, look, hopefully you'll see if he can run this off. But I said I'd be very surprised if if you're Ireland now and you see that strapping too, you'd be hoping to send Stuart McCluskey straight at him again and see if he can tackle him with one leg. But yeah, look, McCluskey's had a great start so far. He's defended really well. I felt he's connecting really well with his teammates and has made some great chop tackles. And he's actually the one who made the tackle, I think, for Josh van der Flier. Made a really, really crucial turnover a few minutes ago, which sort of got us the territory here as well. So far, McCluskey justifying his selection by Coach Farrell.
Well, Barrett is hobbling back to the middle of the park. It's an All Blacks scrummage on their own 22 and about 10 metres in from the near touchdown. The All Blacks left. Ireland get the swing round and the referee doesn't like it, says that Ireland were coming in underneath number 1 against Andrew Porter, giving the New Zealand tight head Fletcher Newell a bit of an old time of it, a 31 times cap Newell, and that's a penalty in the scrum against Ireland, simply because they were dominant. Sometimes I wonder.
Yeah, I think that was a fair enough penalty, Jim. It looked like Ireland were sort of shifting round, New Zealand edging forward, so it's going to go in their favour. And this is the concern, it's the amount of scrum penalties and line-out penalties.
All Blacks with the line out just outside Ireland's 10-metre line, comes back on the 10-metre line. Roygaard whips it to the open side of the field. Lackay gets it to Barrett. Nicely moved wide by Will Jordan, and down that far touchline goes Leroy Carter, who's very aggressive. Touch judge has his flag up on the far side, and that should be a line out to the Irish, but there's signs of danger there.
Yeah, as I said, there's going to be space. I think Carter there, he sticks up his hand, he knows himself. The calibre of quality of players that this New Zealand team and Irish team have, you can't run into touch, especially with that opportunity. New Zealand would have been desperate to build some phases here. They want to put Ireland under pressure, a man down. The penalty count's gone against Ireland. New Zealand will be gutted now. They can just keep possession and build up some phases.
22-metre line, far side of the field, well taken at the front by big Jack Conan, and off the thing comes Josh van der Fleer, runs into contact, goes to ground. He's set it up quite nicely. Gibson Parker's there. Andrew Porter just standing away from the ruck. Gibson Park kicks as the wind is holding it up a little bit. Bounces back on the Irish side, well taken in by another busy forward, James Ryan. Gibson Park goes to the narrow side. Referee nearly got in his way. And Baird takes it on. This is good stuff by Ireland. Lovely little slip pass by outside half, and as Jack Conan takes the pass from Dan Sheehan. Ireland almost up with the All Blacks 22-metre line at the far end of the field. James Lowe makes a little bit of ground, and again he goes to the park, and there's a penalty against the New Zealand All Blacks and against Cody Taylor, who will have taken over the captaincy for coming in an offside position, and Ireland didn't like it and the referee didn't like it, and Cody Taylor doesn't like it, that they don't like it.
Yeah, a bit of argy-bargy, good to see. James Lowe taking Cody Taylor forward, but to me that last pass to play, Jim, was just it was all actually the key Irish lines. It was James Gibson Park, who's been outstanding already in the first 15 minutes, setting the tempo. It was Dan Sheehan bouncing off 2 players, getting an offload to Jack Conan, James Lowe following up. So yeah, the Irish Lions contingency, although there's a lot of them, that was a really slick faster play there by all of them, really well in sync and great yardage made.
Jack Crowley kicks right-footed and finds a perfect corner flag touch on the far side of the field in New Zealand, right there for Ireland's left. There was a nice little interchange by Ireland's backs and forwards. James Lowe was helping to set it all up again, and then New Zealand piled over illegally, and Ireland have got the line out 5 metres from the New Zealand line on the far side of the field. Another New Zealand replacement. Well knocked back, and Sheehan pops it up. Here goes McCluskey. Wouldn't he love to score in Chicago against the All Blacks? James Lowe would love that as well. He has another go himself. Ireland held up 5 metres away. Josh van der Fleer has scored against them. Here come Ireland again. Jack Conan dips the shoulder, comes right across the near side of the field to the right hand post, and here goes McCluskey. Surely not quite, well held up, couldn't get the big body down. Gibson Park pops up, and Ireland dive for the line, and they have scored. The referee took his time about it, and it's the man mounted himself. Tadhg Furlong gets his 6th international try, and he'll never score a better one, and he looks like he means business. What a response by Ireland.
Yeah, Jim, that was just it's awesome. Look how pumped they are. Tadhg Furlong's pumped up, standing about an inch or a foot taller. Stuart McCluskey getting so close. Brilliant carries. Jameson Gibson Park is already, his name's been mentioned so much, but the tempo he's setting, his pass accuracy, it's go, pump, go. It's amazing. As we said, these Irish players have been there, they've done it. They set in some real tempo here, and that was just previous games. Jimmy, Ireland have territory and possession has actually been in their favour a lot against New Zealand over the years, but it's the execution, and that's fantastic execution to be there. They haven't been down here at this end much, but to be 8, hopefully 10 points up, awesome.
Crowley with the conversion, right footed, straight in front of the post, just about. Up go the flags, nicely done. Ireland's lead goes into two figures, and we have played about 15 minutes or so, and it's 10-0 to Ireland. What about that, Chris Henry?
Yeah, and it's been, there has been the injury stop-start, so this whole fatigue hasn't really hit the legs yet. But for me, Scott Barrett, he's gone off. The leader has gone off. Who's now? Artie Savea, whoever it is. These All Blacks, the pressure's on here. They need to step it up.
Long restart kick taken in yet again by Stuart McCluskey. He gets one All Black and then gets two. The second one is the enormous Fabian Holland, who's 6'8" tall, but McCluskey's made it available, as he always does. Gibson Park has a wee glance and kicks right-footed over the top of that ruck as he found his touch on the far side. He has indeed. That's a very good kick right up to the 10-metre line. He kicks beautifully from the hand.
Every kick, Jim, as I said, it's within, you're talking 2 feet of where he is expecting it to go. Every time it goes up, you think, has he cut it short? But it's just so accurate, and to be able to execute that time and time again just gives such confidence to your team when you're sprinting up and he puts the job exactly where it needs to be. It's awesome.
Considered Lester Fayenga Anuku is on the field for the unfortunate Geordie Barrett. It looked like a knock forward, but the referee says no, it wasn't. It was a mishandle by Simon Parker. Here come the Blacks trying to move the ball wide to this near side of the field. Good defending, wonderful offload, and here goes Will Jordan. Will Jordan runs a lovely line, comes back inside James Lowe, who missed him quite badly. Roy Gordon moves it wide. There's a host of All Blacks out there, and surely one of them's going to score, and they are going to score. It's Artie Salvea's in the corner, and the touch judge gives the referee the thumbs up, and the referee blows his whistle and raises his hand in the air and write this All Blacks team off at your peril. What a wonderful try, wonderful handling right across the park, and finished off in style in the corner by Artie Savea for his 32nd international try.
Yeah, Jim, once they get behind the line like that, they see it in the championship a lot. They are so, they're just lethal at execution. They get on the outside, they make the offload, and then it's their ability to flood through. Quick ruck ball, and the space was obviously going to come. So, fair play to the All Blacks. They obviously needed to respond, and they certainly have.
It was the brilliance and the individual style and panache of Will Jordan set the whole thing up, wasn't it?
He's a real superstar, and his ability to find space and turn on the gas, and the instinct around the players around him. They punish you, they really do. And as I said, being a man down for this length of time, there's going to be more space than what there should be.
Wonderful conversion from the touchline for New Zealand's veteran outside half. I'm sure he won't be minding me using those terms. It's been said about me for the last 100 years. Beauden Barrett, and that means it's now Ireland 10 and New Zealand 7.
Yeah, Jim, and Ireland now, as I said, it's been a punch by Ireland. Tadhg Furlong getting this team pumped up so well, getting his try. New Zealand responded so quickly, with that, and now it's time for Ireland to show what they've got next. Will Jack Carty put this in the air, make it contestable? They need the possession back.
Into the second quarter of this game, which I hope you're enjoying with us here on BBC Radio Ulster and 5 Live Sports Extra and All Points West. 1 try apiece. The big news that was after just some 7 minutes. Ireland lost their line, second row forward, Tadhg Byrne, to a yellow card, which was then upgraded to a red card for a shoulder tackle. Rather unfortunate, so Ireland are going to have to survive with a man down. They haven't done too badly. Scored an excellent try through tight head prop Tadhg Byrne, then conceded one to flanker Artie Savea. Now 32 years of age, been around forever it would seem. Here's Dan Sheehan just inside the opposite half. Well taken at the front by Ryan Baird. The Crowley puts it high up into the air, coming down just outside the All Blacks 22. Ball is on the ground. The ball is pulled in by Ireland. Andrew Porter gets it, puts the head down, burrows forward, sets it up for his Leinster teammate. Aren't they all? Little chip across. It's charged down by New Zealand from the kick by Jemison Gibson Park, and all the way back goes Stuart McCluskey, and he couldn't quite keep it. Well, he did keep it in, but his wing 3/4 came sliding across Tommy O'Brien, and he carried it into touch, and the referee has given a penalty against New Zealand. What for, I'm not sure, Chris.
McCluskey does really well there, and he fights his case really well too, Jim. He's dived in the ball, and the New Zealand player dived on him as well and took him out without giving him a chance. So you can't attack. If a player slides the ball, you have to give him a chance to get up on his feet, and I think that's what the penalty's for. So Really smart from Stu, real good fight back to get back. For me, there's been a bit of a trend with Ireland's attacking around that middle third. They have had, McCluskey's carry well, bounced off Cody Taylor, and they stuck the ball in the air. That last time there was no mess about it. Was stripped back to Jack Crowley, ball in the air. So maybe the message has gone on. Considering they're a man down, they're going to have to win that aerial battle, put the ball up, and it is going to maybe come down to that 50-50 ball ricochet. Does Ireland pounce? And now thankfully Ireland have another good chance of a good territory here to attack.
Yeah, the charge down was by New Zealand's number 8, Peter Laka, who's only 22 years of age. Plays his club rugby in Wellington, but a lovely off the outside of the foot banana kick, as they call it, by Crowley, has given Ireland a line out almost on halfway. Sheehan with the throw, near side of the field, Ireland's right. A wonderful take by Ireland, but they say it wasn't straight. Wasn't straight.
Yeah, it's good competition by the All Blacks to hold. You're waiting. It was like there was 2 or 3 dummies there by Ireland before they went up, and New Zealand were very patient. A lot of times, you get giddy, but they read that really well. So Big Ian Henderson is on. Unsurprisingly, he now will take charge of the line out as well, and he's been an unbelievable form to start the season for Ulster. You lose someone like Tadhg, someone like him, you couldn't ask for a better person to step up here as well. So delighted to see him on the park.
Henderson's on. I can see James Ryan down there. I'm not sure who's off for Ireland in the forwards, because we've already lost Tadhg. I think James Ryan is there. Is it? They
might be taking off a back replacement, Jim. Keep a full pack on, because it's going to be a hard battle now if you take off another forward. So we just have to wait and see. I'm not sure which Irish players come off.
We'll try and find that out for you. The referee has penalised Ireland, given a free kick against Ireland for movement before the ball was put in. Dan Sheehan not happy with that decision. Little tap and take by Bowden Barrett, kicks it right foot up in the air, coming down just inside the Ireland half. Wonderful take up in the air by Jamie Osborne, Ireland's full back. Ball back on the Irish side. Gibson Park, who had the kick charged down, gets it away. Here come Ireland again. Good driving forward by Ryan Baird. Gibson Park to the far side, back to Crowley. Crowley launches one high, coming down just inside the half. Ball's gone loose. James Lowe got a hand to it. I think he might have knocked it into touch, but the New Zealanders have taken the ball very quickly, and here goes Bowden Barrett, runs infield, runs to the far side, well tackled, just outside his 22, back on the New Zealand side. Little pop pass to Lakai, who makes a decent bit of ground up to his own 10-metre line. Roygaard gets away. Little flat one again, Watson. Good stuff by Ireland in the middle of the park. Wonderful tackling. The tight head prop Fletcher Newell sets it up for the All Blacks. Now they bring it to the near side of the field, and they have another go again. Fanganuku tries to lay it back for a scrum half. Roygaard, who's still outside his 22. Driving forward goes Holland. Fabian Holland. Wonderful second row combination of Holland and Barrett will not go down that road. Back they come again. Roygaard kicks left footed for the near side of the field. The Irish right, underneath it is Holland, or Osborne I should say. Osborne gets it away, and Tommy O'Brien tries to make a wee bit of ground in quickly as to get Gibson Park, and the referee has
holding on a neck roll.
The neck roll, he was saying, given by one of the Irish players against I think New Zealand's centre, Quinn Taupau.
Yeah, it's a hard one there, Jim. Disappointing. Jimmy Osborne's done really well, a couple of high balls there. He's really you've been brave and got himself up in the air. Got a good fullback. Obviously, Test match rugby, that's your bread and butter. You've got to win those battles, and he's done really well in those 2 first sort of big challenges. But both teams definitely have been looking to kick the ball in the air, and putting that pressure on the opposition. So I'd say we're going to see a bit more of that.
Yeah, it was Jack Conan on the blind side of it. In fact, not on the blind side of the referee, right in front of the referee, committed the offence. It's a New Zealand line out 5 metres from the Irish line. Great chance for the All Blacks to get ahead, but it's picked off by Ireland. Ball bounces rather awkward for Tommy O'Brien. Tommy O'Brien makes a wee bit of ground, gets 5 or 6, but 5 metres outside his own goal line. Ian Henderson in the middle of all of that. So 2 Ulster on the field at the moment. Back to Gibson Park, who kicks right footed for the near touchline, and that's a wonderful kick by Gibson Park. There's very few kicks. Every single kick's a 9 out of 10, Chris.
Yeah, the highlight of Ireland's performance so far has been his kicking accuracy. A fantastic defence there. A single man lift on Ryan Baird to get up. Real brave call, being so close to your try line as well. And then, to be fair, Tommy O'Brien has to do incredibly well, Jim, because he had to take it 2-3 metres to get out of that try line to give us a chance to get the ball cleared. So great work by the young Leinster player.
halfway line out to the All Blacks, goes to the back, knocked down untidily, didn't look straight.
Again, Jim, another great win by Ireland in the line-out defence. They read the call well, and Ryan gets up at the back, so all pats on the back. It's these small moments, these small margins. The New Zealand in the championship, you got to say, their line-out can be hit or miss at times. It's not real work on, I think, for them. And Ireland's clearly have spent a lot of time analysing oppositions, and they've been able to sort of get up the air and cause some damage there. So that's going to be huge for Ireland to stay on the hunt here, to keep this tight, because as we see, when New Zealand get motoring, when they get clean ball, they're a handful.
Huge Irish contingent here in the Windy City. 12 minutes to the interval, just about. Ireland scrum right in the middle of the park on the halfway line. In it goes. Gibson Park gets it away quickly. Nicely done. McCluskey drives forward. McCluskey gets it away nicely. Gibson Park couldn't hold it. It wasn't a bad pass by McCluskey. Gibson Park moves it out wide. Ryan Baird comes back in field across the New Zealand 10-metre line. Gibson Park gets it away. He struggled a wee bit with his passing, but he finds the try scorer for Ireland, Tag Furlong. Gibson Park gets in again quickly. That's a lot better. Here goes McCluskey yet again, causing problems in the middle of the park and taking two New Zealanders with him, which makes up for the loss of Tyke Byrne. Good driving forward by Josh van der Fleer up to the 10-metre line. Half a chance there, bit of a dummy by Ian Henderson, who did really nicely. Gibson Park moves it to the far side of the Irish right. McCluskey gets it away to Crowley. Crowley dumping the seat of his pants by the New Zealand defence. Ireland have still managed to keep hold of the ball, and now they need to get men over it, and they have got men over it. Good work by Andrew Porter. Gibson Park digs it out himself. Here come Ireland again. Good tackling by Josh Lord, the New Zealand replacement. Gary Ringrose pops it off to James Lowe, who comes back in field. Good pick up one-handed by Ryan Baird. Goes to ground, sets it behind him. Referee looking at that, Ireland looking for the penalty. Gibson Park made a bit of a mess of that. The ball slipped round behind his back, but it's come back on the Irish side. Popped up once again to big James Ryan. Goes forward. Andrew Porter's in there as well to help him. Ireland almost up to the New Zealand 22, right in front of the push. Little chip by Crowley. Here come Ireland. All the way back goes Barrett of the outside half for Atlee and touches it down, despite the intention of Jamie Osborne. And a good little passage of play for Ireland. A lot of intelligent rugby.
Yeah, really lovely variation there. And Ireland's typical big carriers. Van der Fleer making some great yards, and Ryan Baird stepping up again, and it's brilliant. They're making some great powerful running, penetrating, and New Zealand kind of stepping off them at times as well. So McCluskey again seems to be just having the game, enjoying it so much, just wanting to get the ball in his hands as much as possible. So some really good rugby intelligence there.
Ian Henderson is on the red card suspension having elapsed, so Henderson is on for Tyke Byrne, and Ireland therefore back up to 19 players, which is a big plus. We have about 10 minutes to the interval, and Ireland leading by 10 points to 7. A long restart kick carried in by Crowley on his own 10-metre line. He's going to run up to halfway. Delicate little chip up in the air is coming down on the New Zealand 22. Wonderful take in the air by the fabulously talented Will Jordan. Henderson gets his hand in. Fayenganuku gets it, sets it up for New Zealand. Little flat pass, ball goes wide. Barrett kicks right-footed for the far side of the field where there's nobody at home. James Lowe is going to have to be quick, and Lowe gets all the way back to within 5 metres of his own try line and kicks left-footed and needs to find his touch, and he hasn't found his touch. This is going to give New Zealand a definite chance. Barrett brings it back in field once again. Wonderful sidestep by Will Jordan, brought down near Ireland's 10-metre line. New Zealand move it to the far side of the field, their right-hand side. Barrett gets it away to his scrum half Cam Roygard, and he kicks right-footed, and it bounces once and goes into touch, and that will give Ireland a line-out. 30 minutes have gone. What a game it's been.
Yeah, Jim, and Ireland, the worry of being undercooked, they've really, it hasn't looked like that at all. At times it's been New Zealand that has been sort of all over the cosh a bit, like that prime example. They really, no one's just sort of taking the ball forward and keeping the phases. I just don't really, the All Blacks, once they build up, they want to get to 12, 13, 14 phases, the gaps will come. But no, they seem to be kicking pretty early as well. So, job well done by Ireland so far.
Sheehan with the ball for Ireland just outside the 22 back, and he's not having a great game apart from his decent passing. Jameson Gibson Park, but Ireland managed to set the ball up. They're still just right on their 22. They've moved infield to almost in front of their own post. The ball is coming back, and Gibson Park, is he going to get it to Crowley or do it himself? I think he's going to do it himself. He does it himself a little bit on the slow side, and the ball came off a New Zealand hand, and the New Zealand player was offside, and it was second row forward Fabian Holland. Gibson Park's been a bit iffy today.
Yeah, I mean, look, he sets the tempo, Jim, so fast. Some of his passing, I think the distribution up the line, it wasn't great from the forwards to give it to him on a platter. So, but it's his ability to, we've seen his kicks. He's probably made 6 or 7 unbelievably talented clearance kicks, so accurate. He sets the tempo. So
we'll forgive him.
Yeah, I think at the moment, Jim, I'd be saying he's certainly played a lot. He's played a bigger influence than Rogard at the moment in the way Ireland are playing. And yeah, like even again, example of New Zealand there in that opposition 22, no real pressure. They give away a soft offside penalty. So if you're New Zealand head, you're frustrated on what the All Blacks are doing themselves,
Bishop Bruce has brought Ireland's Jack Crowley back to about 4 or 5 metres to come back to where he wants the kick taken from, and Crowley kicks right-footed. Bit of a scruffy effort, but he's found his touch, and Ireland with 7.5 minutes to go will be delighted, Chris, if they can turn around 10-7 up at the interval.
Yeah, I think so. I think look, there's not much between the teams, but you got to say both set pieces for both Ireland and New Zealand, especially line-out. It's that both teams have lost a few each. There's been miscommunications. It's been sloppy, and Ireland, by not playing Test rugby for such a while, and obviously the Lions, has been so disjointed for them. You sort of get a wee bit of a bye ball. It's the All Blacks being such, having coming off the championship, played so much rugby. It is surprising, they should be in this sort of just a sync mode. They should be all be in sync, a bit clear. So I'm not sure exactly what's happening here. Ryan Baird coming off maybe for an HIA.
Well, he was off and he's coming back on again, so he seems to be fine. I think he went up for a little bit of water. I thought he was coming off for an HIA. Clock not ticking. We played 32 minutes and 45 seconds in Chicago. Ireland leading, if you're just joining us, by 10 points to 7. Early penalty by Jack Crowley, followed up by his conversion of a fine try by Big Tide Furlong. Back came the New Zealand All Blacks. Artie Savea got over in the corner. Jordy Barrett added the extras, so 10-7. And looks like it's James Ryan is leaving the field for an HIA, I'm reliably informed, which is always nice to know. So off he goes, and I hope nothing happens to him, because Ireland can't afford to lose their other second row forward, even though Ian Henderson has come back on. So what are they going to do now? Andrew Porter comes over to Dan Sheehan as Caelan Doris is going to come on. First game he's played this entire season, hasn't even turned out for Leinster yet. Sheehan has to get this one right, and he does get it right. Wonderful jump by Henderson, just fabulous. Here come Ireland again, straight away into action as the man who we all felt would have led the Lions had he been fit, Caelan Doris. Jameson Gibson Park kicks right-footed, coming down on the 10-metre line of the New Zealand All Black. Ball has gone to ground, skipped up by Ireland. There's a wee chance here if they can shift this wide. Porter does shift it wide. Crowley delays the pass. Oh, McCluskey very nearly got the ball away. And the ball, I think, was knocked forward perhaps.
It's my fault back there.
So close to
referees brought them back. Is McCluskey playing well, Chris?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, look, the ability to him to even try to get that offload, he pumps the legs, he's such a big man. But again, Ulster fans, we obviously know, you're not going to be surprised. This is what he does. He's so hard to stop. He's such a big man, and his game's evolved so much. He has the full skill set, the short pass, long pass, his footwork. He even can boot the ball quite well too. So for the first 30 minutes he's been really, really good, and it shouldn't be a surprise. But yes, to get his chance in such a big game around the best players, and look, Doris there. Caelan Doris come on the pitch as well, amazing. Like, what a guy to come on. He's already made one brilliant carry there. Shouldn't have made those yards, did, and he was on the ball for the scraps. So amazing to have him now as a reinforcement.
Ireland scrum just outside the New Zealand 10-metre line. Gibson Park moves it to the far side. Poor pass there by Ireland and by Crowley, but James Lowe has got it, the New Zealander, who kicks left foot. That needs to slow down, and it's not going to slow down, and they'll come all the way back, and that'll be a scrum from the spot that Jemison.
I think James Lowe's trying to say it was a reflection of someone maybe there, but yeah, look,
James Lowe, I should say, yeah,
but the ball obviously went too long. But look, McCluskey, you see, even actually, he's made a lot of carries, but there, the wee delicate pass out the back. So the fact he's carried so hard, the fact he's made such yards, the All Blacks have to respect that. They have to come tight on him, and the space then is going to come elsewhere for other people. So
we don't have.
It'll be interesting how Jack Crowley uses this now.
Live, so scrum on live.
Well, 9 years it's been since that astonishing day in Soldiers Field in Chicago, and Ireland beat the All Blacks 40 points to 19, having been trying for over a century to defeat the men from the long white clouds. And since then it's been even Stephen, five wins apiece. Ireland would love to come away with a second historic win on this particular ground. Scrum to the All Blacks, and the All Blacks doing a little bit of a shunt forward, or maybe a little dummy attach, and the referee has said no. I think it was a touch judge in the far side spot or something, and he's given a free kick against the All Blacks. Tight head prop Fletcher Newell looking around him somewhat bewildered, and it looks like the old-fashioned Gary Owen from the Munster men is coming in. He's lofted that high, it's hanging, it's coming down a wee bit too far. Wonderful take by Will Jordan. Never took his eye off it, just glided up into the air. And he's kicked right-footed, and has he found touch? No, he hasn't. He's found Crowley, who whips it in field to Jamie Osborne. He kicks left foot for the near touchline. That's a pretty decent kick. Calls for the mark, Bolton Barrett, but did he call for the mark after he was in touch? You've got to call for the mark when you're in touch. The referee's giving it to him.
I think you kind of have to give the benefit of the doubt there, Jim. There's no one pressurising him. There's no. Listen, a player of that calibre, as he makes a mistake, you give the benefit of the doubt that he calls the mark. Although from the camera angle, that's an interesting one. Geez, Irish fans in the stadium are agreeing with you, Jim.
Well, he found his touch. It's a line out to Ireland, just inside the All Blacks 10-metre line, the near side of the field, the Irish right. Andrew Porter standing at the front, Sheehan with ball in hand, holding it above his head, just taking his time. Remember, Ireland back to 8 forwards in the pack. First one has gone awry, and good challenging work there by Ryan Baird. We're back in the All Black side. Roygard looking for a little clear passage to get it away. Barrett moves it wide. There's a wee half chance here if they can make half a break, and they're very strong in the bread. And this man, Fine Ganuka, has set it up for the All Blacks. Now they bring it to the near side of the field. Fletcher Newell is in there as well. Lovely flat pass by the All Blacks once again, up to their own 10-metre line. Ireland missing tackles or falling off tackles just a little bit, and they won't want to do that before the half-time interval. There's nobody better in what's called the championship medicine scoring than the New Zealand All Blacks. Here they come again. Good tackle by Ireland, and Ryan Baird had a magnificent game in putting himself around the field. All Blacks set a bit of a dummy try score. Arnie Surveyor up to his own 10-metre line. Roygard is in there as well. Referee telling the Irish forwards to get back from the ruck. Josh van der Fleer puts a lot of pressure on. That looked like a forward pass. Good tackle by Andrew Porter. New Zealand up to the 10-metre line. Roygard has a little glance, decides to boot the ball, kicks left-footed. All the way underneath it is O'Brien. O'Brien gets absolutely clattered. Now he needs to release the ball, and he has released the ball, and he's got it away to Gibson Park. Gibson Park moves it wide to James Lowe. Jack Conan up to his own 10-metre line. Lowe picks up and goes forward. Now Gibson Park again. There's a half a chance to move it up for Ireland. Here goes McCluskey. Got it out of the back of the hand quite nicely. And it went into touch, and New Zealand have taken that quickly, looking for the score for half-time. And the referee's going to bring them back, and the New Zealand fans not happy that the whistle is gone. What an exciting passage of play.
Yes, on both teams, really positive intent that the fourth officials coming in to see something. McCluskey there again tries to get the offload, unfortunately didn't go, and got clattered pretty hard. So
contact for
couldn't quite make out there what referee Pierre Brousset said.
Where's the mark there?
I think it's a penalty for Ireland anyway, Jim. I think it was a late contact maybe, or...
Well, the ball was well taken by O'Brien. Oh, it was an arm on head. No, they should have had a look at that, or was that just a rugby thing? Wonderful take by O'Brien, and it was definitely a high challenge by his New Zealand opposite number.
Yeah, he's falling. The man's falling down, obviously, but yes, I don't think it was too. The high level of danger isn't there. It's his elbow, but yes, certainly definitely a penalty. And another game, I say Jim probably would have looked at it a bit more, but looks like he's just got away from with the penalty.
Well, they're delighted in the stands that somebody has managed to catch the match ball, but at least they've got the decency to give it back, which would help. How long have we got? We're into the final minute of what has been a pulsating first half, and a first half that Ireland can take, in which they can take great pride. Sheehan with the line out, picked off with far too much ease by New Zealand in the middle. The lift of the player wasn't enough. There's a wee half chance here. That ball has gone loose, and James Lowe can't quite get in there. Now he does. Good kick down the far side by Leroy Carter, gathered in safely by Ireland's fullback, who gets it onto his left foot. Jamie Osborne needs to find his touch, and he does find his touch, and that really should be it. And the referee decides, Pierre Bruce, that is it. And we've had just about everything. We've had a yellow card, we've had that changed to a red card, we've Tadhg Byrne off for 20 minutes, or Ian Henderson on. With Ireland going 10-0 up, then falling 10-7 behind. Wow, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, it's been a really exciting, entertaining half. Lots of stop-starts at the beginning, but tempo for both sides. That they've had some real good, intense carries. The Irish back row have been outstanding. Keil Doris already come on, done really well. There's nothing between the two teams, and the All Blacks I think will be disappointed by not getting more phases together. But unbelievable, great first 40, entertaining first half.
Byrne was a yellow, then a red card, went off. Crowley kicked a penalty to put Ireland 3-0 up. Then he converted a fine try by Tadhg Furlong to make it 10-0. But a few minutes later, Artie Surveyor went over in the corner. Bowden Barrett added the extras from the touchline. And at the moment, it's very, very, very finely balanced. I've seen many New Zealand games which the men in black have romped home and had the advantage and the game done and dusted by the interval. Not so here. At half-time, it's Ireland 10 and the New Zealand All Blacks 7.
Yeah, thanks to Chris and to Jim. Lots of talking points from that first half in Chicago. No doubt we'll get the thoughts of Paul Marshall and Robbie Diak in a few moments. But now, with the time just after 4 minutes past 9, let's get the latest BBC News.
BBC News NI on Radio Ulster and on BBC Sounds.
Good evening, I'm Amy Murray. Sinn Féin and the SDLP have confirmed that they will back a motion of no confidence in the Education Minister Paul Givan following his controversial trip to Israel. Mr Givan was among a group of unionist politicians who took part in a 6-day tour, which Givan called a fact-finding mission. Earlier this week, the body which represents Northern Ireland's main teaching unions criticised Mr Givan for visiting the country amid international condemnation of its actions in Gaza. Hundreds of people gathered at City Hall this afternoon calling for him to step down. Teacher Brendan Morgan addressed the rally.
I feel that many people in the profession don't have confidence in Paul Givan to represent all the teachers and the educational workers in Northern Ireland. Mr Givan's entitled to visit wherever he wants, but when he uses the title of Education Minister, then he's misusing resources. As far as I'm concerned, he shouldn't have done that. That shouldn't have happened. It's not representing all teachers. It's a very, very political thing to do.
In a post on social media this afternoon, the DUP leader, Gavin Robinson, said Paul Givan had his full support and is going nowhere. Pressure is growing on the former Prince Andrew to agree to face questions in the US about his links to Jeffrey Epstein. Months of criticism over his close friendship with the late sex offender has culminated in Andrew Mountbatten Windsor being stripped of his title and told to move out of his 30-room mansion. Andrew has always denied any wrongdoing. But members of Congress in the US say if he wants to clear his name, he should give evidence to their inquiry. 2 more people have been charged in connection with the theft of around £76 million worth of jewels from the Louvre Museum in Paris last month. The man and woman in their 30s are among a group of 5 people who were detained by police on Wednesday. 2 other men have already been charged. And Egypt has opened a huge new museum in Cairo, showcasing the country's history. It cost more than £900 million and houses the entire contents of Tutankhamun's tomb. Nadine Abdelgafar, who's a curator and art consultant, says it's a big moment for Egypt.
We are forever the land of civilization. I mean, we've survived 7,000 years. So despite the turmoil and despite the economical hiccups, this civilization will always prevail.
Barabest has the weather.
It'll become mainly dry overnight with clear spells, temperatures down into the low single figures with a westerly wind and just the odd shower. Tomorrow, a largely dry picture for most of the day with plenty of sunny spells, westerly winds bringing in the odd shower as temperatures reach 10 or 11 degrees. Through Sunday evening, though, another weather front coming in from the west will bring cloud and outbreaks of rain overnight into Monday.
BBC News.
This is Sportsound Rugby.
Listen live, on digital, online or on BBC Sounds.
Paul Marshall and Robbie Diak with me here in studio. I certainly enjoyed that. A first half of rugby from Soldier Field in Chicago. Ireland are leading New Zealand 10 points to 7 at half-time. Guys, so many talking points from that pretty breathless and frantic first half. But I guess we'll start with what happened earlier on to Tadhg. Was he unlucky, or was that a deserved 20-minute red card?
Yeah, I think from a defensive point of view, if you make an illegal action, which he does with his arm tucked, you make it very hard to get mitigation because it's always deemed as being an illegal action in your tackle process. So it's a hard one to dispute. He's obviously a very big man to begin with, but when you hit somebody with your shoulder, with your arm tucked, and you hit them in the face, it's hard to try and find a reason why it wouldn't be a red. Robbie,
should he have tried to get a little bit lower? But mitigation there, possibly. Dan Sheehan, we heard him appealing to the referee, like it was a forward pass. He'd very little time to react.
He had very little time to react, and I think, as Dan was saying, that it was a forward pass. And, I think Paul said that it should have been a red. I was arguing that it should have been a yellow. I think the fact that it was 2 minutes into the game, into such a massive game with a massive build-up and such a huge consequence to the team, I think that's where it sort of comes into play. Do we want it to be a red card? But I think the right call was made at the end of the day. Nobody wants to see it, but it's good to see Ian Henderson coming on after 20 minutes and adding the impact that he did. But the other thing was that New Zealand didn't actually get any points in that block of 20 minutes, which is unusual for them because they can normally sniff a chance from anywhere, small gaps or a little break in defence or a blindside opportunity. And when you've got a player like Tadhg who's off the field, who adds so much value in attack and defence, especially around the breakdown, I'm surprised New Zealand didn't make the most of it.
Yeah, I think that's why the 20-minute red card is such a good law change, because you can tell Tadhg's not trying to do something dirty. He just, as you say, Robbie, gets caught a bit short in terms of time. He's upright, but that's why they brought the 20-minute red card in, so that it doesn't affect the whole game, because it was
so early.
Yeah, and it would have killed the game if it had been a full red card for the whole game. So, and that is why it's for players whenever they maybe make a mistake, and then it doesn't punish you as severely as somebody lamping out somebody and doing something physically very dirty or foul play. So I think it's a good law to have in there, and I think that's just probably why we've been able to see it in its best form today.
You also a fan of this new rule, Robbie?
I'm a fan. I do think it ruins games. I think if it's not a malicious act of dirty play, or you going out intentionally to hurt somebody, or I do think it's good. I do think a team needs to be punished for dirty play, and certainly 20 minutes against the All Blacks is tough going. But I think Ireland stood up to the occasion. They rallied around the 14 men. They worked harder in defence. When you've got guys like Stu McCluskey, who's come out and who's carried the ball so well, so hard, so direct, making meters all over the show, that's been fantastic, and it's given them momentum. It's allowed them to kick the ball into the right areas of the field. I think when you've got a player like Jamison Gibson-Park, who's kicked unbelievably well in the first half, it just releases so much pressure for the team, allows them to get their kick chase and play, allows them to play in the right areas of the field. When you defensively in your own 5 metre and you defensively kicking the ball near the halfway line, it's a huge release of pressure on the team. And what I've found the most surprising is the fact that the Irish lineout hasn't been functioning as well today. You think you've got 7 out of the 8 forwards from Leinster. They've Lineout's all about communication. It's all about understanding your teammates, understanding when the hook is throwing, who's jumping, who's lifting, and that's all down to communication. I think Paul O'Connell will be a bit disappointed in that. And if we can get the balls and get the ball into Stu McCluskey's hands off lineouts, breaking up the midfield, giving them space out wide, that'll be a huge element to attack in the second half.
Yeah, Paul, as a former scrum half yourself as well, are you impressed by the tempo that Gibson Park and Crowley have been able to inject into this game?
Yeah, I think they've both been fantastic, and I think that Ireland have kicked the ball quite a lot in around their own 10-metre line and around the halfway line, and I think tactically what they're trying to do is put New Zealand back into their own half. And New Zealand have been slow to kick. They're trying to run everything out. They're trying to play multi-phase. And I think Ireland are trying to back their defence, and they're saying, we'll give you the ball deep in your half. We'll let you try and run and pick holes in us. But we know that if we can get our defence upright, compete over the ball, they'll maybe pick up a penalty or make a mistake. You can see Ireland are still trying to get line speed. But at the same time, New Zealand look dangerous if they get just outside that line speed. Will Jordan, guys like that, don't need a second opportunity, and the game is really just on a knife edge in terms of that now.
So many ebbs and flows, definitely. But what about your old teammate Stu McCluskey? You both played with him, of course. You were hoping he'd go well. He's had a great impact in the game and playing a little bit like an All Black, the way he's trying to keep the ball alive with those offloads.
Yeah, and that's exciting, and we see him doing it week in, week out, year on year for Ulster. And I think Ulster really this year in particular, you can see the excitement in the back line. Jacob Stockdale, Michael Lowry, all those guys have been trying to get their hands free offload, and Stu's continued that on to this evening, and it's exciting. And you can just see it a couple of times it hasn't just come off, but players are running that support line, they're anticipating it, they know that he can get his hands free, and if it does come together, it could very easily lead to an Irish try.
He almost scored the opening try, Robbie, as well, but it was eventually finished by Tadhg Furlong, and that was a great sort of response to Ireland after that early setback of losing Tadhg Beirne.
It was a great response, and I think it just shows you what happens when you get players running direct, making meters. You got Josh van der Fleer, you got James Lowe, and you got Stu McCluskey in there as well, and then you've got a guy like Tadhg Furlong who's hitting the line at pace and running unbelievable lines there as well. So it's I think with regards to Stu, we always know what a fantastic player he is in the URC, but the question is, can he get to the international level against the best of the All Blacks and perform to that level? And what he's done in the first 40 minutes, he certainly put his hand up and caused a bit of a headache for Andy Farrell, because he's really performed well. And I hope he gets the ball in his hands more in the second half. And it would be interesting to see if he partners with Bundy Aki at all in the second half. It's unlikely, but I mean, to have two of those guys in the midfield for the second half against the All Blacks would be amazing. It'll be interesting to see what the All Blacks do with our two fantastic leaders, two Barretts off early in the first half, Ardie Severe captaining, so it'll be a big test of their leadership coming up now.
You mentioned, Paul, about the ebbs and flows that New Zealand only need one chance, and we saw that Ireland were 10-0 up. Crowley had converted, he'd scored an early penalty, the Furlong try, they were 10-0 up, and then within 3 minutes, bang, Savais, great handling across the park, and he finished it so well.
Yeah, and it all came from the replacement Lester Fahangahu who came on for Jordie Barrett. He gets an offload away to Will Jordan when he's got 2 or 3 players on him, and then it's just the acceleration. Will Jordan gets away from defenders, makes the big line break, and then New Zealand moved the ball well. And again, Ireland were 1 player down at that stage, and it showed.
Look, what about Caleb Clark there? Just the end of that first half. Was he lucky not to see a card for that tackle on Tommy O'Brien, given, Robbie, what had happened to Tadhg Beirne earlier on?
I think the main difference there is that Tommy O'Brien really dipped into the point of contact, and I think that's where there's a bit of mitigation as well. I don't think it was malicious from Caleb Clark. I think the call was a right call, definitely a penalty, but to be honest, I don't think anything more was he didn't deserve anything more than that.
Okay, well, look, it's finally poised at half-time. Paul, I mean, we were a little bit concerned. I think a lot of Ireland fans also were a little bit concerned. Were Ireland undercooked? They're, of course, just coming into the start of their season. New Zealand coming towards the end of their season. They've had so many minutes compared to the Ireland guys. But look, given what we've seen so far, it looks like we didn't need to worry.
Yeah, well, look, Ireland have had 13 guys away from this matchday squad with the British and Irish Lions. So, yes, they might be slightly undercooked in terms of the matches that they played, but they're all world-class players. It's a world-class Irish squad, and exactly that. Maybe it's one game too far for New Zealand at the minute. Who knows with the number of matches that they've had, but especially in Chicago, there's such a big Irish contingent out there. It probably feels like a home game for Ireland, and I'm sure that's probably been the message all week, is go out and enjoy it, enjoy the atmosphere, soak it all in.
Yeah, and Robbie, Andy Farrell, the coach, had made the point that, look, it doesn't matter. It's about being mentally sharp, and they do seem to be really on it, don't they?
They do. I mean, these are all experienced guys. They've played all at the, a lot of them have played at the highest level for the British Lions. They've got fantastic leaders across the forward pack, the back line, and I mean, we speak about players being undercooked, and you look at what Caelan Doris did when he come off the bench. He hasn't played in a couple of months, and I mean, he should have been captaining the Lions. And he came on his first carry, he made a line break, then it was on the loose ball a couple of minutes later. He's already made a massive impact into this game, and hopefully he gets a little bit more time later on in the second half. But I think it's been a little bit scrappy from both teams, to be honest. It's been stop-start. I think the ref had a couple of issues with the red card and getting the right footage, which slowed the game down. A couple of HIAs which have come in place, and injuries. So hopefully this is a little bit more of a free-flowing second half with a couple of nice tries. But ultimately, hopefully Ireland can come off with a win as well and continue their good form.
Yeah, well, we can see the teams are back out on the field at Soldier Field. Just quickly before we cross back to our commentary team, just in a word, who's going to win, Paul?
Ireland.
Robbie?
I'm also confident Ireland will do it.
Okay, well, you're wearing all black and Paul's wearing green, so I don't know what that says. But anyway, we will cross back now our commentary team. Chris Henry and Jim Neely.
Thank you, Orla. Thanks, chaps, in the studio. Well, what a second half we have in store. It lived up to its billing. Not a high-scoring first-half game, but what a competitive game of rugby, and everybody giving it 115% if there is such a thing. What a busy month it's going to be. In a week's time, we're in Dublin for Ireland against Japan. After that, it's Ireland against Australia, and then the double world champions, South Africa, in town. And the team who've won lots of world championships, New Zealand, kick off and straight into the arms of the big Ulsterman, Stuart Henderson, who's joined by his club captain Ian Henderson. McCluskey goes to ground inside 22, back to Jefferson Gibson Park, who gets it onto his right foot, and as he hoiked it in field or out of field enough, yes he has, and that's another very good kick. I thought he did a few things not as well as he might have, but in the first half his kicking was superb, Chris.
Yeah, it's repeat for him. It just perfect accuracy, as I said, so that makes a big difference. No messing about, just getting clearance, and New Zealand make a good first line out in the half.
Yeah, Josh Lord jumped and put it away, well set up nicely by Leroy Carter. New Zealand just inside the Irish half by about half a metre. Ireland tackling desperately. Roy Gard gets it away, taken on by the veteran hooker now, Cody Taylor. Roy Gard brings it to the near side once again. Holland sets it up to tight head prop Fletcher Newell, coming back quickly as it always does in the All Black side, and that's gone loose, but knocked forward by the All Blacks, and the referee is going to give us first scrum of the second half to Ireland. There hasn't been too much between them in the scrums. A few free kicks have gone here and there for minor offence, but nobody has really taken the scrums by the scruff of the neck, Chris.
Yeah, Andrew Porter did really well near the end of the first half there. He great chat the referee to said about New Zealand giving an early bind, and then we got a free kick, so it'll be interesting to see him now. He's been quite quiet for his ridiculously high standards, so looks set piece scrum's been so solid again. It's just lining obviously has been the biggest issue, so look, yeah, we need really good strong set pieces. This is a lovely platform. You're Jack Crowley here, you're thinking how do we get the ball in this big man McCluskey's hands again, get over the gain line and hopefully build some phases.
Scrum to Ireland just outside the New Zealand 10 metre line, about 16 metres in from the near touchline, the Irish left. Ireland playing from right to left. If you're just joining us, 10-7 to the Irish at the interval. They were 10-0 up, early penalty by Jack Crowley not long after Ireland lost Tag Byrne to a yellow and then a red card. Tag Furlong, the other tag got a fine try converted by Crowley. Back came the Blacks. Artie Surveyor in the corner. Bowden Barrett with the conversion, 10-7. to what is the home side. Ireland, this is Ireland's home turf, so they have the home dressing room and all the benefits of everything that goes with home. It ain't Lansdowne Road, mind you, much as they'd love to be there. This is a pretty decent alternative. Anyway, back we go again. 2.5 minutes played in the second half. Good solid Irish scrum by Porter in front of Gibson Park, and then narrow side whips it away to Crowley. Still a bit of a dummy. Well covered though by Roygard. Ireland flip the ball away. Nicely done by Gibson Park. McCluskey this time pops it up. Well taken on by Ireland up to the 22, directly in front of the All Black post. About 15 metres in from there, touchdown. Crowley gets it away. Good stuff by Ryan Baird, who's had a storming game. Are they going to get him into touch? They're trying to lift him off the ground, and he is not for lifting, the big fella, and he gets it back. That's well done to him. Well done by Ireland. Here comes Josh van der Fleer, runs into Peter Lakai. Now Ireland move it wide. Little flat pass. McCluskey has managed to keep the ball and sets it back. Gibson Park was in, moves out to the far side. Little chip kick through. That could go anywhere, but it does go into the hands of Will Jordan, and Jordan gets rid of it, and well taken by James Lowe on halfway. Lowe runs up to the 10-metre line. Little chip kick by Lowe. Where's that going to go? Back to the scrum half of New Zealand, and the scrum half of New Zealand, Cameron Roygard kicks left-footed, and that's going to give Ireland a line out. Good pressure by Ireland.
Yeah, great pressure. Roygard there, executing a kick very well. James Lowe be delighted with that outcome. Great, Ireland again, the big players really fronting up. Andrew Porter, who I just mentioned, made some really good carries. Jack Conan does incredibly well to keep Ryan Baird on the park. I think Ryan Baird was going to be taken out and kept in. So really smart, hard play, great carries, and that's what the Ireland we're used to. That they're just so dynamic, and the carries go forward ball, and that's their strength.
Irish line out. Henderson takes it well. Sheehan pops it up to James Lowe. Thunders it on. Ireland still moving forward into the 22. Almost lost the ball. In fact, they might well have lost the ball. Somebody lost it on the ground. Might have been Ringrose and away by New Zealand, and they've cleared their lines very well indeed. They're such a hard side to beat, aren't they?
Yeah, Early Survey making an unbelievable turnover, just world class. How quickly he pounces on the ball, spots it and takes it out, and I think the Irish back row have got the upper hand. I think the two other back rowers from New Zealand, two youngsters, haven't made just as big an impact on maybe what they have in the previous games in the championship, but Artie Survey is just an unbelievable athlete. Everything he does is such a leader for that New Zealand team, and that was a really important turnover for them.
Ball tapped back on the New Zealand side from Dan Sheehan's through. That's at least the third line that has gone awry. New Zealand have an extra man over here if they can get the ball away. Good tackling by Ireland on the far side, and into touch it goes, and that should be an Irish line out just inside their own half, away over the other side of the field. The Irish right, Ireland playing from right to left. Remember, you're listening to Autumn International Rugby on BBC Radio Ulster and 5 Live Sports Extra. Ireland leading by 10 points to 7. Another little look at that line out showed that they are New Zealand replacement. Josh Lord just got in ahead of Ryan Baird, and then there was a missed pass on the far side, just put behind the ball receiver and into touch for an Irish line out.
There's definitely been a few unforced errors by the New Zealand, Jim. Sort of out of what they're not used to. I think they probably could have released that ball a wee bit earlier. They probably would have made a good another 10-15 yards on the blind side. But Ireland doing well, fighting hard for each other, really staying in the fight, and making something out of nothing there by Ireland's defence.
Indeed, it was knocked forward by New Zealand, so it's an Irish line out right on halfway, and about 4 or 5 metres in from the far touchline. Ireland's right. Gibson Park has a little look to see what's available. Scrum been taken down a little bit by the New Zealand tight head. Good scrum though by Ireland in response. Gibson Park gets it away, moves it to Crowley. Little flat pass once again. McCluskey gets across the halfway line. Good metres by Stuart McCluskey. Referee's blown the whistle for something. Is there an offence committed against New Zealand? I think there is. It's a penalty to Ireland. It's a fair way out, but you know something? I've seen Jack Crowley kick these.
Yeah, I think it's certainly kickable, but I wondered, Ireland, do they need to put the pressure on here? New Zealand are probably going to score again. Such a tight game, Jim. Back in the day, you'd be saying definite 3, but this Irish team, they love to, they put the killer instinct, but I think the Nods come on to take the points.
Well, there's a scrum, and then there was a little bit of passage in the middle of it, and Bowden Barrett, the veteran outside half, who's right up there with Andrew Mertens and Dan Carter and all the great New Zealand outside halves, is having a little word with the referee.
I think it'd give us an extra 10 metres as well, Jim, which obviously brings in the kicking range. So yeah, a great advantage for Ireland.
So Crowley from as near halfway as makes no difference, but just to the right of the post as he looks at it, just nice and composed. 24 points he got against Portugal. He's got 5 here, more importantly, this afternoon, with all due respect to Portugal. Right footed, a little chip. Has that come in? That has not quite come in, so it stays with 8 minutes of the second half gone at 10 points to 7. Jack Crowley's first miss, albeit only his third attempt of the day.
Yeah, he'd be disappointed with that. Those are the clutch moments you want to take. But look, he's up to now. I said he's had a really good game. He brings something a bit different. He tacks the line really well. You got to say probably a bit more physical and braver than Prendergast. And he's obviously Munster game definitely controlled that game a lot better. So he's getting his opportunity, and he'd be disappointed he didn't take that 3. But no doubt he's in a great headspace at the moment and next job focused.
New Zealand have brought on the 22-stone prop forwards, Tamatai Williams. Jack Conan takes it up to halfway. Gibson Park takes it away, switches direction. Crowley leans back and kicks, well gathered in outside his 22 by Barrett off the outside of the boot. That's a very good kick by Barrett. What an accomplished footballer he really is. Can you imagine what it would be like in Sunday lunch in the Barrett household with all 3 of them swapping stories about their international careers?
It would be a big Sunday lunch, Jim. A lot of lamb being cooked in their Sunday dinners. But no, look, it's even Barrett's his ability in the backfield to cover, to be in the right position. Ireland have tried to find corners, find space, and it seems to be always him exactly where he knows the ball's going before it's kicked. So just such wonderful rugby brain.
Brian Baird won the line out. Jack Conan took the pass from Josh van der Veer. He was on the bench last time Ireland played here. Back to Gibson Park, kicks right footed down the near touchline, the Irish left. That's hanging nastily, well taken by James Lowe. Put the head down up to the 10-metre line of New Zealand. Here come Ireland again. Nice little bit of play by Jack Crowley, gets across that 10-metre line. Gibson Park and over the outside half. Gary Ringrose goes forward. Gibson Park once again, good pulsating drive by Ryan Baird. Change of direction by Gibson Park. Andrew Porter runs into a couple of All Blacks and is strong enough to wrestle the ball to the ground, and Ireland have gone onto the ground, but the referee has said that New Zealand infringed first, and this is much more kickable. In fact, this is very kickable.
Yeah, but no more back chat by the All Blacks too. And I'm going to say, Jim, that's again a really sloppy penalties by I think it was maybe Josh Lord, one of the younger Kiwis in the team. It's surprising them making these unforced errors. They didn't need to chase that breakdown and then they fall off their feet. So great pressure by Ireland to cause that, but certainly the New Zealand will be disappointed at those sort of unforced, silly penalties decisions that have happened. So Jack Crowley gets another chance here too. Obviously a lot easier slot here for him to step up and take a 3.
What a great take it was in the air by James Lowe, and he ducked down and took on 3 New Zealanders and set the ball up, and from there Ireland pressed forward, and the penalty was given. Great bit of wrestling by the formidably strong Andrew Porter, and that's what caused the penalty, and this was marched back to within about a metre of the 22 of New Zealand. And I wouldn't say it's easy by any stretch of the imagination, because these are all pressure kicks. This is sport at the very, very highest level. But Jack Crowley surely to increase the Irish lead by 3 points with his second penalty. Just puts his head down, has a last glance, swings the right foot. And the 2 men with the flags, who were Carl Dixon from England and Luke Ramos from France, put their flags up. And Ireland have 3 more points, courtesy of another penalty by Jack Crowley. And we've played about 11 and a bit minutes in the second half, and it's now 13-7.
Jim, I think the penalty count is certainly going Ireland's favour of late, and they're playing the referee probably a bit smarter at the moment.
When New Zealand won the restart, which they shouldn't have, and here they come again, and here's the big fella in the second row, gets her way to the danger man. Leroy Carter steps back in field, plenty of green shirts there. Scrum half gets it away, and again Barrett, little pop pass up to Lakai, who's been a bit quiet today. Once again, here they come, the halfbacks. This is wonderful, slick handling by New Zealand. Number 14, Leroy Carter does a wee bit of a shuffle and goes to ground. Pop pass from the tight head prop, that seemed to go forward. Referee's playing advantage. Ball comes back to Ireland and to Jack Crowley. Wallops it long, bounces into the New Zealand 22 and back to Bowden Barrett, who kicks for the near touchline. The Irish are left, and the result of that is Ireland have made ground, but James Lowe get it away. Now a little chip up into the air by Ireland. I think that might have been Crowley. Well taken in by New Zealand, get across their own 10-metre line. Ireland need to be careful they haven't left anything too much out wide. Lord moves it away. Thunderous tackle by Ireland, but good driving forward by the enormously strong Quinn Terpal. And again Ireland tackle, and this time it's Lester Fanganuka who sets it back, and New Zealand kick down into the Irish 22, gathered in outside the 22 by James Lowe. Where's he going with this? A little delicate left-footed kick, bounces once and twice and 3 times and all the way back to Will Jordan. And Will Jordan puts it infield to his outside half, who kicks right-footed. And the net result of all of that is Ireland made about 50 metres.
Yeah, I think everyone stop and take a breath, and Ireland have a great chance here. I think Ryan Baird, for me, Jim, in that last 5 minutes has just been an absolute workhorse. He's made, saving tackles for people. He's covering so much ground. He's really coming into his own, I think, in this game. I think all the Irish back rows have been doing really well, but for me, Ryan Baird has been really busy, making some big plays, big carries, stepping up time and time again. So, he's certainly one of the ones leading from the front.
It's a line out to Ireland on the New Zealand 22. 14 minutes played in the second half. Sheehan, whose arrows haven't been great recently with the throw, that's a lot better. Well taken in by James Ryan. And Ireland drive forward. Good work by Ryan Baird at the back, and Sheehan's there. Sheehan gets it away to Gibson Park, who pops it back in field to James Lowe. Lowe's trying desperately to stay in field, and the referee's blown the whistle. Not sure whether it's going to be a scrum, and if so, to whom?
Yeah, but disappointing there. I think they just decided to break off. They just decided to break off. I think it's a wee bit too soon there, Jim. We were edging forward, so I think the Irish pack will be disappointed. They were getting real momentum, I think, going forward. Great. The blockers at the front of the line did a great job shifting momentum, and it might have just been a case of easily in hindsight to keeping that ball in and maybe forcing a penalty.
Almost 15 minutes gone. Scrum to the New Zealand All Blacks, just about midway between their 22 and their 10-metre line, the near side of the field. The All Blacks right, Ireland playing from left to right, leading at the moment by 13 points to 7, a 6-point gap. They would settle for that if the referee says, would you like me to blow the whistle now? Ireland would say yep.
No space.
Bit of carry on this, the Irish loose head side of the field, where Andrew Porter is up against Fletcher Newell.
Yeah, I think most of the headaches of the scrum tonight, Jim, obviously I'm not a front rower, but it feels like it's coming from that side with Newell and Porter all night. Sort of having a great battle with each other, but tag for alongside seems to be a lot more solid, a lot tighter. These two seem to really go nip and tuck and fighting for the dark arts, the wee half cheating that you can get away. It gives a bit of momentum, so no doubt the touch judge will be feeding in some information to the referee as well.
Strange in fields of Athenry ringing around Soldiers Field. There's still 25 minutes to go. Good scrum by Ireland, and New Zealand move forward. Referee, I thought, was going to give a penalty. He is going to give a penalty, but he's waiting for advantage to New Zealand. He's going to come back for the penalty against Ireland at the scrum. I'm not sure what that was all about.
Yeah, I think it's that loose head slide for Porter. He's saying his angles means he's falling then inwards, so advantage for New Zealand in that scrum penalty. And this is what we were worried about, the game time test match rugby, repeated scrums, repeated mauls, repeated lineouts. It's hard to replicate that in training, and certainly the scrum looks like it's going New Zealand's way at the moment.
Well, the man originally from Auckland, Bundyaki, has come on, and the man from Bangor and County Down, Stuart McCluskey, has left the field, I do believe, having done a sterling job in Chicago and Soldiers Field. So on comes Bundyaki for his 66th cap, his first against South Africa way back in 2017. 2 World Cups, 2 Lions tours, 6 Tests of the Lions. Not bad for a wee boy from Auckland. Line out to the All Blacks just inside the Irish 10-metre line, near side of the field. They're really taking their time here, and that's been knocked back by Ireland. Gibson Parker leaves the clutches of a very frustrated Cody Taylor, the New Zealand hooker. Ian Henderson goes into scrum half, pops it up, goes driving forward by big James Ryan, who's had another terrific game. Keelan Doris is in there as well. Ball coming back to Jameson Gibson Park, right-footed into the New Zealand half by about 15 metres. Big jump by James Lowe, but wonderfully taken by the 26-year-old Leroy Carter, who sets it up now back in the New Zealand side. Little pop pass looking for a gap. Sevilla takes the ball from Lackey. Roygaard gets it away. Here come New Zealand once again. Little burst of acceleration by Leroy Carter, almost up to the Ireland 10-metre line. This is ominous looking stuff. Ball was knocked forward by New Zealand. They will be very frustrated, and Scott Robertson will be incandescent with that, and not like Will Jordan to show a little bit of temper there. Ball knocked forward, Irish scrum.
I think it was Tadhg Furlong there, Jim, but for a tight head prop, making that last ditch tackle to cause the mistake there, the knock on, which shows the modern prop getting a point to park. But look, great defence by Ireland. New Zealand finding a bit of space, but big McCluskey, as you said there, Jim's off. I got him to see him off actually 56 minutes. I was really hoping they would have kept him on. There's the other option of obviously moving Ringrose out to the wing and keeping Bundy and Stewart in the centre, which would have been a nice combo to look at. But Stewart's done really well. He certainly created so much positive in the game today, and now it's up to Bundy to dance something now as well.
The Irish Brains Trust just looking on. Paul O'Connell beside his head coach. Free kick against New Zealand, and you think Tadhg Furlong is big. Just when that scrum got up, look at the size of Tamatai Williams, who's about 6'4" and 22 stone. He makes Tadhg Furlong look a scrum half.
Yeah, most of the New Zealand bench as well, especially front row absolute units, and real tactic. Obviously the modern game now bringing on your finishers. It's not the bench, it's not the reserves, it's your finishers. And just to be 60 minutes into the game and seeing the size of some of these athletes come on and test rugby, it's a serious sight to behold, and can really change the momentum of the games as we see.
Well, off is going Simon Parker, and on has come Wallace Atiti. Ireland get the line out right this time. Josh van der Fleur gets it away. Gibson Park nicely done, taken on by Gary Ringrose. Ireland be looking for another penalty at the very least if they can manage it. Here goes Doris, loving to get back into testing that shoulder of his. Crowley slips the ball away. What a good pass that was, but it was knocked on, and New Zealand will try to counter. Ball has been kicked long down into Ireland's 10-metre line. All the way back goes Jack Crowley. Little sidestep by Crowley, gets himself caught. Could do with a bit of help, gets it from Josh van der Fleur. New Zealand saying that's a penalty, and it is a penalty, and that really should have been put away. That was Ireland's own fault, Chris. That could cost him, honestly.
Tabay did really well to get up there. He's been relatively quiet for considering how much of an impact he's had over the last few weeks and months for New Zealand. But Jack Crowley does really well actually to stay on his feet, to give those Irish players that bit of time, but to get back. But yes, they just fatigue, and Ireland's so close. Probably hasn't been too many unforced knock-ons like that, and unfortunately for Jamie Osborne, he's had a good game. But yes, if he was managed to keep hold of that, it probably was a line break, and who knows what could have come.
20 minutes gone to take it up.
Yeah, and the ball has been put beautifully into touch by Bowden Barrett to give New Zealand a 5-metre line out on the near side of the field, the New Zealand right. 103 caps, 104 including today for Cody Taylor, one of the all-time New Zealand greats, particularly in the middle of the front row, right up there with Sean Fitzpatrick. Taken at the front of the line out by Fabian Holland. Referee, I heard him calling advantage, so the penalty is going to go to New Zealand no matter what happens. New Zealand trying to move forward, referee telling them to use it. Roygaard gets it away. Here they come again. Barrett got absolutely clattered by Gary Ringrose, and New Zealand forced backwards. Wonderful defending in the middle of the park. The referee's going to have a look at something.
Yeah, I think it's the tackle with Gary Ringrose. Is this a high one as well? Ringrose has really grown into the game here in the last 20 minutes. I think his physicality's really lifted up a notch. He's thrown himself out the line, going for those shots, and
I think it's no foul.
This is the risk reward.
We'll show you the best angles.
Let's have a listen to what the officials are saying. I could hear Ian Tempest, the TMO, saying he's going to try and show the best angle. It was Barrett. Well, was that a shoulder going into Bowden Barrett?
So freeze the firm. Okay.
It was a head on arm.
Just ahead.
I don't know if there was any head contact. Was there head contact there, Chris?
Yes, I agree. No foul play.
It's a really physical shot. It says whether the arms. To me, it looks like he's using his arms, but
number 6. No foul play, penalty.
Yeah, no foul play. Fantastic shot. You know, he commits to it. He's very lucky. In other moments, that is.
Number 6.
It goes against him, but yes, really physical.
Well, we got that right here. But it was a penalty anyway, so it's going to be another penalty to New Zealand, and they're going to go for the corner. Remember, they need a converted try to go into the lead in this game. They've never been in the lead, and Ireland have had a 10-point gap. And here they come again. Taylor props it up. Oh, that's driven up right up to the line, but they can't quite get over. Here comes Williams, the mountain, and the mountain just squeezes over and touches down, and that's another try for New Zealand with the conversion to come. The All Blacks fans ecstatic in Chicago. Irish fans, well, less so.
Yes, the TT got a lovely wee soft pass and made the break, and being that close to the line, it was kind of inevitable. I think Ireland players were offside anyway. Their hands weren't behind the try line, so big to Matty Williams, a big man, hard to stop, 2 inches out, and lovely wee play for Cody Taylor to get the ball. We slip pass and his tap and goes. We see, it's such a powerful tool. So big wee intricate soft plays.
He balanced himself very nicely. He sat back on his haunches, so to speak, and scooped the ball up, and then had his feet in the right position to propel that massive upper body of his across the line and touch it down for the conversion, which is about to be attempted by Bowden Barrett, and has been attempted very successfully by Bowden Barrett. And so for the first time in this game, the New Zealand All Blacks, number 2 team in the world, are leading Ireland, the number 3 team in the world. We have about 18 minutes remaining, maybe a wee bit less. It's Ireland 13 and New Zealand, Chris, my 14.
Yeah, mentally that was a big moment for the All Blacks. They haven't done too much. There hasn't been a crazy amount of clean line breaks, and New Zealand wingers, these guys can score from anywhere. Ireland have done a decent job in their defensive system, so that was coming, and luckily that ball stays in play.
Well, the ball stays in play. I thought that Will Jordan might have taken the risk of letting it go to bounce into touch, but it didn't. Roygaard brings it back in field, well taken on by Wallace Satiti, wearing number 20 for the All Blacks.
Use it!
And a ruck forms in the middle of that. Roygaard goes to kick, almost got it away, almost half charged down, and somebody needs to claim this. Back goes Ireland, well done by Ringrose. Bundyaki couldn't quite gather it. Ryan Baird drives forward. A penalty would do Ireland, remember. Here they come again. Here come Ireland. Nice little handoff. Nicely done by Jamie Osborne up to the 22. Gibson Park brings it in field. Ian Henderson just drops the head and drops the shoulder. Sets it up perfectly. Gibson Park again. Crowley. This is good stuff by Ireland. Little flat pass out to the far side. Kelleher's on for Dan Sheehan. James Lowe gets up to the 22-metre line. Brought in field by Jemison Gibson Park. Ireland trundling forward. Finlay Bean was on as well. More Irish replacements coming on. Referee saying to New Zealand get back on side, which they do. Gibson Park to the open side. Little chip kick through the middle. Good jumping dive by Ireland. Not forward, unfortunately, by Jamie Osborne. The ball still goes loose and Crowley jumps on it. But the ball was nudged forward by Ireland, and that's going to mean a scrum to New Zealand. And it looks like I think it was Tommy O'Brien who's maybe got in the middle of all of that and has hurt his leg a bit.
Yeah, it's a brave decision again. They've done this maybe 3 or 4 times during the game where they're in the 22 and they feel like they have to just do the wee dink over the top, and this is probably the most accurately perfected kick, really small margins, and it's just a shame. I wonder another day the scraps, the balls are there and they go for it, but I think it's now a scrum for New Zealand. Pressure's on them to try exit, and hopefully we stay on the right end of the park. As you said, Jim, 1 mistake, 1 penalty, these are such fine margins. This game is exactly what everyone expected it to be, going right down to the wire here.
Ireland must be patient, Chris. That's the watch word, because they've got plenty of time. They've got 16 minutes. They haven't got the ball, but they're within 10 metres of the New Zealand line, and they're about 20 metres in from the near touchline, the Ireland left. So it means that as we look at it, they're just to the left of the New Zealand post. New Zealand have brought on number 23, Damien McKenzie.
Yeah, serious operator. He obviously had a world-class game against Ireland last year. Was man of the match, scored all the points, and serious operator.
Ireland get the squeeze on the scrum, and the referee says play on, and they move it out wide. Here's a great chance now for New Zealand. There's a blistering bit of pace being shown there, and Mackenzie comes thundering down, and all the way back is James Lowe, and no messing about, gets it onto his left foot and clears his line. But New Zealand have made some 60 metres. They're all the way from about being within a spitting distance of their own line. They've now got to within, well, slightly more than spitting distance of the Ireland line, but it looked very, very dangerous there for a while when Caleb Clark legged it down that far touchline.
Yeah, I thought they were going to get a penalty from the scrum, Jim, and a serious amount of yardage made on that wing from the scrum from their own 22.
Clark wins the ball yet again. Here comes Savea, well tackled by Josh van der Fleer, 7-on-7 on the 10-metre line of New Zealand. Scrum half gets their way into the replacement hooker now. Samsionio Tokiahu. Nice their way by Holland. Mackenzie just about held on to it, and no more. Good driving forward by Topeo. Taken down inside Ireland's 10-metre line. Scrum half pops it in field. Nicely taken on once again by Peter Lakai, who sets it up. And here they come again. Mackenzie in the outside half position. Holland gets past the first tackle of James Ryan. Referee, I think, giving a penalty to New Zealand, and if I were them I would take it, but they may not need it. And here comes Mackenzie, puts it back in field. This is going to be the coup de grace for New Zealand, and it's Wallace Atiti over at the Irish post, and from nothing whatsoever New Zealand were able to conjure up space. They had time, they had men, they had support, they had the determination, and they had the finish, and they look as if they may have the winning of this game.
Yeah, the great attack shape there. Ireland, unfortunately, Guy Ringrose, who has been getting a good bit of joy by coming up out of the line, making those big shots. He comes up and unfortunately doesn't finish the tackle. And once New Zealand, we know this New Zealand team wants to get through and flood through, especially with fresh legs on. Satiti does so well, following through a good back rower shoot and pants in. So, it's grinding stuff. New Zealand have been making more yardage. You think of scrum in their own 22, taking the edge. A guy like David McKenzie comes on against a tired team. This is why these guys are superstars. This is why these guys are such a lethal team. And challenge now to Ireland to really fight back and get something within the next couple of minutes, because time is ticking away.
It was such a great inside pass, and Satiti, like any good back row forward, and he's more than just a good back row forward, he's an outstanding back row forward, was right on the shoulder of the ball carrier to take the scoring pass and go in between the posts. Well, his day's work is done, and it's a pretty decent day's work for Jack Crowley. And on come the man with whom he's been playing box and cocks on the Irish squad for quite some time now. Sam Prendergast is on. Don't know what difference he may make or what he's going to be asked to make. Restart kick, and there's a new cap on for Ireland wearing number 17. Delighted to welcome Paddy McCarthy to the illustrious band of Irish internationals, particularly Irish international front row forward. So Paddy McCarthy, first senior squad, first cap, and well done, Paddy. Yes. You remember yours?
I do indeed, a long time ago, Jim. But yeah, some opportunity to come in for your first cap in such a big game. And James Lowe here, I think this Irish team have been so successful over these years. Their ability to stay in the fight in the small moments, fight in the back end, and I think with James Lowe just stays in that ruck and causes a slight knock on. It gives us a chance, and that's what Test Rugby's about. It's about just those smallest of margins. And fair play to James Lowe, really up for it and fighting. And now Ireland have this great opportunity, and as you said, the first capper, huge first scrum. All he has to do is hold that corner to give Casey now, who's on as well. He obviously adds a bit of tempo as well to get this ball out in the back line.
Well, Coach Farrell has made all the changes that he can possibly have. Changed his front row. He's changed the scrum half. The scrum half puts it in. The front row win it and do well. And Casey's going to go on the narrow side. Cheeky little rascal. Gets it away to Jamie Osborne. Makes a wee bit of ground. Goes to ground. Casey pops it up. Josh van der Fleer takes it forward. Very nearly dropped it despite the tackle of Surveyor. Ian Henderson thunders forward once again. Casey brings it round to the near side. And the referee had spotted a slight knock forward by Ireland. And the foot end of the scrum will go to the New Zealand All Blacks. We have not that long to go.
Well, I think the All Blacks are getting into Paddy McCarthy's face there. A small knock on, probably saying welcome to Test rugby. So yeah, put a mind games there from the All Blacks. But yeah, look, the last 10 minutes as well. I think you think of the All Blacks try. There's been those few unforced errors by Ireland. The penalty count has sort of gone the shift. I thought they had the referee on their side, and then there has been a few mistakes and penalties from Ireland to give the All Blacks maybe that easy access. So there's less. Coming up 10 minutes now. Ireland need the huge scrum now to not give away a penalty and try and get some attacking launch from in their half.
Paddy McCarthy just 221, baby faced little fella in against Presidio Tussi, who's come on to wear number 18 for the All Blacks. So complete new changes from a good squeeze by Ireland at the scrum, and the referee has penalised them for pulling the ball around, he says. I don't understand that at all, I have to say.
It's hard, Jim. When a team is they're edging forward, creeping forward, the advantage has to go to the team, which is, you're not always going to get it right, but there the All Blacks scrum is edging forward, and that gives them the parity. And it's not for the first time tonight they've got that. They've got the penalty, so really disappointing. But thankfully a mistake here and ball still in play.
Yeah, Barrett doesn't find his touch, and Aaron removed the ball to the far side of the field. Good straightening up and running into Barrett by Osborne. Casey to the far side of the field. Prendergast tries to lob it over the top and doesn't quite succeed. Ball was knocked backward on the All Black side. Play on, says the referee. Here comes Holland. Gets across his own 10-metre line. Keelan Doris has to get back. Plenty of All Blacks out this side if they can shift the ball. There's a wee hint of an overlap maybe. Here's a big thundering run by the replacement hooker Samsione Taukeaho across the halfway line, going New Zealand forwards. A wee bit of a skip in their step. Now referee's got the hand out for another penalty against Ireland. Roygaard moves it away. Damien McKenzie back in field once again. Great tackle there by James Ryan, who's had a terrific game. You can say that about all of them. Sevilla moves forward, gets the ball off the ground beautifully. Roygaard takes it up to the Ireland 10-metre line. Now the All Blacks are playing with real finesse and flair. There's a half a chance here. Bundiaki's got to be careful. Wonderful tackle by Bundiaki, but Satiti has the ball, steps inside Osborne. Good covering tackle by Josh van der Fleer, who was walloped off the ball. Referees seem to think that was okay. All Blacks looking for the try that would put the tin hat on it. They're leading by 21 points to 23. Mackay tries to get away from McCarthy, who does well enough just to slow him down, if not rob him of the ball. All Blacks onto Ireland's 22, far side of the field. Caleb Clark does a hop and a skip and a step and comes back inside. Once again it's Ryan is there. Once again it's Holland, gets it up to the 22. Roygaard looks to his left, looks to his right, goes to his left. Caleb Clark runs into McCarthy. Been in action a lot, and here comes Sevilla once again, looking for a second try of the game. Roygaard goes to the narrow side. Lobbed over the top by New Zealand's fullback Will Jordan, and that was forward, apart from going straight into touch, so a little bit of relief. Where have the New Zealanders found this level of energy from, Chris?
Yeah, again, it's is it now because of where they are in their stage of the season? Is this them more battle hardened, and are they able to up this tempo in these important minutes? But yeah, they just picked and went all. No matter what number on your shirt was backs, was forwards, and we're making serious yardage. So Ireland's penalty count has certainly increased in the last 20 minutes. Is that due to fatigue? Is it that the relentless pressure that the All Blacks are putting on them? Unforced errors certainly, I think, has swayed as well. We've dropped balls that we weren't in the first half, and unfortunately, this is just the pressure mounting, and the All Blacks are so ruthless, so clinical, and they have a serious opportunity now to get across this line again.
I'm just glancing at the size of the New Zealand front row forward replacements. They win the line-out ball, but it wasn't straight.
Line-out for both teams, Jim, has been a real kind of mess. It's
When I thought I heard the referee say Ireland didn't compete, I suddenly thought that James Ryan, or Ryan Baird, I should say, had jumped across.
Yeah, I think that looked like they had. They went up, and Ireland have been going up. It's certainly they're up for that. They want to read the opposition well. They're good. It's a real strength of theirs, and that's they've given themselves a lifeline here. It's just wrong end of the park, and that clock keeps ticking.
Yeah, 6 minutes remaining. Ireland 13. At one stage it was 13-7. Now it's 13 to them and 21 to the New Zealand All Blacks. Into the final 5 minutes of this game almost.
No space here. Please, control body weight. Go.
Finlay Bealham, the Australian. I always like to mention that his great uncle was a gentleman called Gordon Ferris from Enniskillen, who was the British heavyweight professional boxing champion. Won the title, lost it in his first event, but you can't take away from Big Gordon. He was the heavyweight champion boxer of Britain. I think he took it from Neville Mead, or maybe it was a Bunny Johnson. Can't remember. And lost it to one of the other. A little bit of trivia for you. You know, Finlay Bealham knows that, I'm sure he does. Good scrum by Ireland, 10 metres from their own line, back to Casey. Bring it to the other side of the field. Aki whips it away badly, and the ball has gone loose. And Ireland are all sorts of trouble here. Lack of concentration there by Bundy Aki, and the referee will bring them back for the scrum to New Zealand. And New Zealand will be delighted at that huge amount of pressure. Brave of Ireland, Chris, to try to run the ball under their own post though.
Yeah, the forwards sort of feel like they kind of have to do something, they have to create something, and that's when unfortunately a lot of the mistakes happen. And there could have been 7 points, 5 points to the All Blacks. They now have another cracking opportunity, and really difficult for the reserves as well for Ireland to come on. You want to make a shift, make a moment. So yeah, tough for Casey and tough for Bundyaki making a bad pass there.
Keep it straight, no step.
Is this going to be the last set piece of this game? We have just about 4 minutes remaining. It's Ireland 13, New Zealand All Blacks 21. So the second place team in the world is edging the third place team in the world, which you might have expected. Doesn't make an easier pill to swallow though from an Irish perspective. Good scrum by New Zealand, digging in nicely. Roygaard runs and dummies and goes himself, and he's going to get in. And Ireland's back row defence suddenly evaporated, and scrum half Cameron Roygaard got his 11th international try, and this just his 15th test. Wonderful solo effort, and back in the studio Paul Marshall would have been proud of that one, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've seen Paul score a few tries like that, nipping through, and the great scrum, just Casey, and unfortunately shoots out Van der Flyer, 77th minute. He's had an outstanding game, but just gets caught, and he does really well in regard to find the line, and yes, it's one of those moments. Unfortunately, you're so worried about the dangerous centres of the All Blacks taking the ball hard and flat at you that they find the straight direct route, and I suppose it was coming, Jim. Pressure was mounting in lots of different ways, and to be fair, New Zealand really upped the ante in the second half and caused Ireland to just give away those penalties and the mistakes, and it's just creeped in.
Beauden Barrett, who's landed 3 conversions out of 3 so far. Can he make it a clean sheet? Not just quite. Well, we'll allow him a miss, because the New Zealand All Blacks have scored 4 tries. Ireland have scored 1, so the side that scores 4 tries to 1 you'd think was the better side, and I guess on the night that was the difference.
Yeah, but again, it's a lot of Ireland's undoing. It's the penalties, it's the drop balls, and it's the rustiness, and that was such talked about before the game. Were they going to be test match ready? And certainly All Blacks have come through in these last 20 minutes.
New Zealand have knocked the restart kick down to their own 22. It's taken on by the phenomenon that is Ardy Sevilla, pumping the legs, carrying Irishmen, some of them bigger than him with him, taking Henderson and Van der Flyer up to over the New Zealand 10-metre line, near side of the field, coming back on the New Zealand side. Replacement scrum half Cortez Ratima has come on the field for New Zealand.
I didn't come on.
And New Zealand have got the penalty.
Yeah, the referee's done a lot of walking back there, and Henderson felt he was holding the guy up in the maul, and the referee, unfortunately, language communication maybe there, he never called maul, so...
Well, now there's a rare mistake from Beauden Barrett. He was trying to get as close to the corner as possible to give New Zealand a very strong attacking line out, and he made a real hash of it. There's a little grimace, a little rueful grin on his face as he gets a handshake from Will Jordan.
Yeah, he gets a giggle from his teammates. It's okay if you're winning 26-13 and you pull that something like that off, but
you would hate to be 2-0 down.
Absolutely.
So last minute of this game, what has been a cracking game. Second half, Ireland fell away a little bit. At one stage in the second half, they were leading by 13 points to 7, but they haven't troubled the scoreboard for well over 30 minutes.
Time off.
Scrum has been a little bit on the messy side. I'm not altogether sure that Pierre Brousset has got a grip of it.
Let's go.
It's a day that young Paddy McCarthy, the brand new Irish loose head prop, only 22 years of age, not the biggest either, he's only about 17 odd stone. The two New Zealand props are about 150 tons between them. They're enormous men, particularly the loose head prop who scored this try. Tomatai Williams, who's 22 stones and a wee bit. Doesn't really matter. And here comes Casey, pops it in. That's not a bad scrum by McCarthy. Casey whips it away to the open side. Prendergast throws an awful pass. Referee says play on. New Zealand have regained possession. Just very sloppy in parts by Ireland, and they really shouldn't be like that because they are full-time professionals. Wallace Satiti gets through. Good tackle by Bundyaki. Away they go again. There's a wee half chance here for New Zealand. Step back infield. McCarthy makes a tackle. Ratima helps to set it up. Now New Zealand have it again. The replacement hooker gets their way. The big fella, tallest man in the field at 6'8".
Use it.
Holland sets it up. Ratima once again. Mackenzie looking for a wee gap that was closed down very quickly. Ryan Baird very nearly got the paws on it. Here comes Caleb Clark, almost up to the Irish 22-metre line, back in field to Tatiti, brought down by the industrious Josh van der Fleer, has had another decent game for Ireland. Ball coming back a bit on the slow side. We are now into the red at Soldiers Field. Ratima brings it to the near side. The All Blacks don't reckon they're finished. Ferocious handoff by the aggressive Sevilla, and they managed to get it away. And Caleb Clark playing out here on the right wing instead of the left where he normally wears number 11. Nice little sidestep by Satiti, who gets mentioned every 3 seconds or so back on the New Zealand side. Taken on well once again by New Zealand and by Fabian Holland back with the All Blacks once again. Cortina trying to Ratima, I should say, not Cortina, tries to get the ball back. It's all coming back a bit slowly. Referees being very patient. He said yes, go on, use it. It has come back. He's going to get it very quickly to his replacement hooker, Tawika Ahaho. Now back on the All Black side. Are they going to kick for a touch and end the game? No, they're going for something a wee bit more. Here they go again. It's with the dangerous Lester Fayanganuku. He goes to ground just inside the Irish half. Ireland have made about 20 metres, but New Zealand still have the ball. A minute and a half in the red has been played. Ratima just gently moved around by the New Zealand All Blacks. This is rugby and it's most glorious, and now they do get it wide. That looked like a forward pass. It goes back in field and it's going to be a try for Lester Fayanganuka, but no, they'll have to come back because I do believe Chris Henry, and you can confirm this from your eyes being better than mine, that it was a forward pass.
Yeah, I think from an Irish perspective, thankfully it was just forward, but what a unbelievable intent from New Zealand to keep playing and not wanting to rub salt in the wound. It shows the battle that these two teams have now, the rivalry they have. But All Blacks really wanted to rub it in and smell blood, and Ireland did just enough to hold them out. It was a really interesting, good game. It's easy to say, but if Ireland played them in a couple of weeks' time, would it have been an even more even match? I really felt that Tadhg Beirne obviously at the start of the game played a huge part, but New Zealand really came into their own in the last 20 minutes. Ireland were, the sloppiness kicked in, the penalty count certainly was a real big issue. Line out without a doubt needs improved. So it's such a tough first test match to come into the series. It's hard to. What's the positive? Positive. Stuart McCluskey outstanding. Does he need to next week? Does he get another go? Throughout these next couple of weeks, are we really going to see the Stuart McCluskey Championship, the autumn series? I thought the Irish back row were outstanding. But yes, it's just hard. It is a tough one there, because the scoreline I don't think reflects the match, actually. Especially if they'd scored at the end, I don't think it reflects the match. But the All Blacks really showed their class.
Chris, thank you very much. Great first half by Ireland, despite you losing Tyke Byrne to a yellow and then a red card. 10-7 at the interval. Furlong scored the try, converted by Jack Crowley, who had landed a penalty for the All Blacks. Artie Surveyor with Bodie Barrett landing the conversion for 10-7 to Ireland. Ireland went ahead even further by another Jack Crowley penalty, 13-7, and were at that position with about a quarter of the game remaining, but the Blacks turned it up and came back and scored 3 more tries through replacement prop forward, the enormous Tamatai Williams, through Wallace Tatiti, the back row forward, and finally a cheeky one by Cameron Rygaard. Bowden Barrett kicked another couple of conversions, and the final score was Ireland 13, the New Zealand All Blacks, number 2 in the world, 26.